Chapter 946. Although this guy had reached the form synthesis stage and had amazing defense, Qin Haodong's bullets had been refined in the mysterious Yin condensing furnace, so they were 10 times more powerful than the god-killing arrow. After a few crisp sounds, the AK's bullets made a series of blood flowers in his body. Lao Si was completely stunned. There was a burst of pain in all parts of his body, especially in his heart, where blood was gushing out crazily. What's going on? What's this? Why am I injured as soon as I heard the sound? Where's my defense? Where's my protective genuine qi? With countless questions, he leaned back and fell to the ground with a plop, completely losing his breath. He didn't know what had happened, and how he died until he died. After shooting the big man, Qin Haodong didn't hesitate anymore. He turned his gun and aimed at the people next to him. He didn't have any cultivation now, so he might lose his life if he was careless. So he had to make the first move. Before Lao Er and Lao San could figure out what was going on, the AK spat out a tongue of fire, and the two of them were shot into sieves in the blink of an eye. What? Ni Hung was completely dumbfounded when he saw his 3 junior brothers die one after another. Didn't they say that this guy had no cultivation? What was that thing in his hand? Why did it have such destructive power? Even the legendary divine weapon couldn't compare to it. While he was in a daze, Qin Haodong shot his thigh. The murderous bullet immediately tore his protective genuine qi, leaving a bloody hole in his thigh. Tell me who sent you here. Boy, you'll have a bad ending after offending our Ghost King sect. Ni Hung knew that it was impossible to kill Qin Haodong today, so he put the blame on the Ghost King sect again, then turned around and ran away. Although one of his legs was injured, his speed was amazing. However, he still underestimated Qin Haodong's power. If it were an ordinary gunman, he might not be able to hit Qin Haodong. However, Qin Haodong had a powerful spirit, which was like a scanning radar, and he kept a close eye on Ni Hung. K strafed, and every bullet hit the path it was about to pass through. Ah! Ni Hung screamed in succession, then fell to the ground with a plop, and died. Qin Haodong put away the AK. After that, he stored the corpses of the 4 people into the 7th-tier pagoda, and returned to the relay station. As soon as he entered, the little witch jumped over and said, "Little brother, you've been in the toilet for too long." Qin Haodong said, "I didn't go to the toilet. I just encountered something." As he spoke, he recounted the incident that he had just encountered. The little witch immediately said with dissatisfaction, "Little big brother, why did you let us come back first when you encountered this kind of thing? How can we help you?" Qin Haodong laughed and said, "Who knows what you will summon with your unreliable summoning skill? Zhao xs hao, zhao shui xd zer dao zhao. Qin Haodong dong stage. I sect how said sect good. Qin demon saint demon dao stage hatang sect beating demon." Qin Haodong said, "They claim to be from the Ghost King sect, but I don't think so. I guess they are probably sent by Chong Sun Chung and Wu Yuanyang to make the Ghost King sect take the blame for them." With a thought, he retrieved the 4 corpses from the 7th-tier pagoda. He stepped forward and took off the masks of the 4 people one by one. He asked Zhao Xingyue, "Do you know them?" In his opinion, they were all masters in the form synthesis stage. They must be famous in King City. Zhao Xingyue would probably know them if they were Chong Sun Cheng's men. Sure enough, Zhao Xingyue exclaimed, "They are Chong Sun Cheng's 4 disciples. They are also known as the 4 guardian deities. How did you kill them?" She was really surprised. The 4 guardian deities were famous masters in King City. Even if Qin Haodong could defeat them, it was impossible for him to kill all 4 of them. "I just used a little trick." Qin Haodong put the grimace mask on them again, revealing a thoughtful expression. The little witch said, "Little brother, what are you thinking about? This may be a good opportunity." Qin Haodong said to Zhao Xingyue, "Let's go to the palace again. I have something important to discuss with the king." "Okay, let's go now." Zhao Xingyue also knew that killing the 4 guardian deities was important, so she left the station with Qin Haodong and returned to the palace. Zhao Xianlong saw that the 2 of them had just left and ran back. He asked in surprise, "It's so late. What's the matter?" Qin Haodong told him about the robbery and took out the bodies of the 4 guardian deities, and placed them in front of Zhao Xianlong. "My king, I think this is a good opportunity. Since Chang Sun Cheng's men are willing to pretend to be the Ghost King sect, let them continue to do so. We can accuse Chang Sun Cheng of colluding with the Ghost King sect, and it will be justifiable to kill him." "Good idea. This is indeed a good idea." Zhao Xianlong's eyes lit up. Although he now controlled most of the power of Xuanwu Kingdom, Chang Sun Cheng was the nation master, and Wu Yuanyang was the queen. It was not justifiable to suddenly kill these two people. Now that he had the four bodies, it would be easy to deal with them. He could directly accuse them of colluding with the Ghost King sect, and then he could kill them justifiably. But then his expression darkened again. "This matter needs to be considered in the long run." Qin Haodong asked doubtfully, "My king, is there anything wrong? Your idea is very good, but the biggest problem is still Chang Sun Cheng." Zhao Xianlong said, "Chang Sun Cheng is the only master in the Deshang stage in our whole city. If we really want to kill him, we must use the God-killing arrow. But the God-killing arrow can hurt him, but it can't keep him. Once he runs away, there will be endless troubles. Think about it. If there is an enemy in the Deshang stage at any time, how dangerous will it be?" Qin Haodong also realized this problem. Although he easily shot the four guardian deities today, he was only at the early stage of body synthesis. The most important point was that it was unexpected. The four people did not know what a gun was at all. They did not know that their bullets had been refined in the mysterious Yin condensing furnace. So it was so easy. Four apprentices died at once. Chang Sun Cheng would definitely be vigilant. If he really wanted to face a master in the Deshang stage with all his strength, ordinary bullets would not have much effect at all. At most, he could only hurt the other party, but he could not kill the other party. Zhao Xianlong sighed. "It's a pity that my current cultivation is only at the peak of body synthesis. If I was also a master in the Deshang stage, I would not be afraid of Chang Sun Cheng." Qin Haodong suddenly he thought of something. "My king, if I can help you improve your cultivation to the Deshang stage, how sure are you? If I can reach the Deshang stage, with heavy weapons in my hand, I have 90% confidence that I can kill Chang Sun Cheng." Speaking of this, Zhao Xianlong sighed again. "But it's too difficult to break through the peak of body synthesis. I'm afraid you can't help me." Qin Haodong said, "I can do it. I can refine a dragon power pill for my king." Zhao Xianlong said in surprise, "Can you refine a dragon power pill?" "I can try, maybe I can succeed." Qin Haodong really said it with a try attitude. The dragon power pill was an elixir of the peak of the 7th rank, which was extremely difficult to refine. He was only a 6th grade alchemist now. It was still difficult for him to refine a 7th grade elixir. The most important thing was that his cultivation was not enough. However, he just had an idea. He could refine this elixir after taking the Big Yuan Explosion elixir. Maybe he could refine it successfully. Zhao Xianlong said, "Even if you can refine it, it won't work. I've inquired about it before. It can indeed improve the cultivation of the peak of body synthesis, but the main material of it is dragon saliva. The real dragon is a 9th grade magical beast. Even some magical beasts with dragon blood have reached the 8th grade. This kind of thing can't be found at all. Otherwise, I would have waited until now to break through. Others don't have it, but I have it." Qin Haodong said, "My king has forgotten that my 3-legged golden toad has an extremely strong dragon Taotai bloodline. Although its saliva is not as good as the real dragon saliva, it must have a certain effect. I can take a risk." Hearing his words, Zhao Xianlong immediately became excited. "Hurry up and give me some of your dragon saliva. I will find the president of the Alchemist Guild and ask him to help me refine the dragon power Dan." Qin Haodong waved his hand and said, "In today's arena, Chen Rui took a big essence explosion pill. If my guess is correct, this medicinal pill must have been taken from the Alchemist Union. From this, it could be seen that Zhang Sun Cheng's relationship with the Alchemist Association's chairman was not ordinary. If the Great King were to ask him to refine the dragon power pill, let's not talk about whether he had the ability to refine such a pill. Even if he succeeded, would he hand it over to the Great King? Would he leak this information to Zhang Sun Cheng in advance? It caused the other party to become desperate. This Only now did Zhao Xianlong realize that he was indeed a little too excited, forgetting to consider Zhang Suncheng's influence in Black Tortoise Kingdom. After calming down, he said, "But if you don't look for the president of the Alchemists Guild, can you really refine the dragon power pill? It shouldn't be too far off. It's just that I don't have enough medicinal ingredients on hand. I'll go buy some tomorrow. If we're lucky, we'll be able to deliver it to the king tonight." "That's really great," Zhao Xianlong said excitedly. "When I step into the Great Ascension stage, it will be the day Zhang Suncheng dies. Then it's settled. I'll go back and make some preparations." Qin Haodong and Zhao Xingyue returned to the relay station together. The next day after breakfast, he took a few girls to the streets of Royal City to buy the medicinal ingredients needed to refine the dragon power pill. Right now, he had a lot of medicinal ingredients stored in his ring. The only thing he lacked was a stalk of star grass. This herb was a rare medicinal ingredient. They went to more than a dozen pharmacies and finally bought it in a big pharmacy called 100 Herb Hall. Although he had paid 10,000 top-grade spirit stones, Qin Haodong still felt that it was worth it. He put away the star grass, and the few of them left the pharmacy together. Just as they stepped out of the door, a luxuriously dressed young man blocked their way. That person first sized up Tu Jiaojiao, Morong Jinghong, and the other girls. His eyes flashed with a look of amazement and an uncontrollable desire. Finally, his gaze fell on Qin Haodong, and he asked in a cold voice, "You're the brat who humiliated my mother?" Without waiting for Qin Haodong to speak, Zhao Xingyue forcefully said, "Zhao Yu, what do you want?" Hearing that this person was Black Tortoise Kingdom's Prince Zhao Yu, Qin Haodong's face flashed with astonishment. This person didn't have the slightest bit of Zhao Xianlong's aura. On the contrary, he was extremely similar to Zhang Suncheng. A thought suddenly popped up in his mind. Zhao Xianlong had been cuckolded. Chapter 947. Seeing that Qin Haodong did not speak, Zhao Yu's face flashed with pride. "Boy, now you know fear, but it's too late. Let me tell you, I'll be the king of Black Tortoise Kingdom in 2 years. I'll kill your whole family then." Zhao Xingyue said discontentedly, "Zhao Yu, what nonsense are you talking about?" Zhao Yu said, "Zhao Xingyue, are you jealous? But it's useless to be jealous. You're a woman, and a useless woman at that. The throne of Black Tortoise Kingdom is destined to be mine. It has nothing to do with you." Qin Haodong smiled. "Your Highness, are you so sure?" Zhao Yu said proudly. "Is there anything to doubt about? My father only has one son. Even a fool knows that I'll be the king of Black Tortoise Kingdom in the future." Qin Haodong said, "I don't think so. I bet you can't be the king." "Boy, what nonsense are you talking about?" Zhao Yu said angrily. "Do you think you're great just because you won the contest? Let me tell you, I haven't become the son-in-law of Black Tortoise Kingdom yet. So what if I become the son-in-law? They're just too good for nothings." Due to Wu Yuanyang's arrogance, this guy had developed an arrogant and domineering character since childhood. He had never taken his sister Zhao Xingyue seriously. Today he heard that his mother Wu Yuanyang had suffered a great loss at Qin Haodong's hands, so he ran out to vent his mother's anger. Zhao Xingyue said angrily, "Zhao Yu, do you know what you're doing? I'll tell my father the truth later." Zhao Yu said disdainfully, "What can you do even if you complain? Could it be that my lord father would cripple my prince? I'm his only son, and no matter what, I'm the future king. And a woman like you, no matter how hard you try, you can only stand aside and watch." Zhao Xingyue was livid with anger. She pulled Qin Haodong and said, "Ignore him, let's go." They returned to the station, but Zhao Xingyue was still angry. Qin Haodong said, "There's no need to be so angry for such a bastard." Zhao Xingyue said, "It's all because of that hateful old woman Wu Yuanyang. Otherwise, her son wouldn't be so arrogant." Qin Haodong thought for a moment and asked, "Xingyue, has there ever been a woman in Black Tortoise Kingdom?" "There used to be," Zhao Xingyue said. "In Xianwu Kingdom, although men are superior to women, martial arts have always been respected. As long as a woman has outstanding ability, she can also inherit the throne." The little she-devil said, "Little brother, why are you asking this? Do you want Sister Xingyue to be the king?" Qin Haodong smiled and said, "Why? Aren't you happy to let your sister Xingyue be the king?" The little demoness laughed. I'm happy, but wouldn't that make you a queen? Qin Haodong was speechless. He had never thought about this. Zhao Xingyue blushed and said, Don't make such a joke. It's impossible. I was originally a woman, and now with Zhao Yu around, his cultivation was higher than mine, and Wu Yuanyang and Zhang Sun Qingdu backing me up. No matter what, it was not my turn to become the king. Besides, I've never thought about what's so good about being king. Qin Haodong said, Some things are actually predestined. It's not whether you want to do it or not. In the future, you will definitely be the king of Xuanwu Kingdom. The little demoness giggled and said, Little brother, how did you see that? Do you know how to read fortunes? Qin Haodong said, Yes, I have calculated with my fingers. Your sister Xingyue is destined to be a queen. Zhao Xingyue only thought that the two were joking, and did not take Qin Haodong's words to heart. After chatting for a while, Qin Haodong summoned the three-legged golden toad, and prepared to collect some dragon saliva to refine pills. However, this guy's mouth was wide open, but not a single drop of saliva flowed out. He had no choice but to let the little demoness open the living spirit gate, and summon a first-grade six-horned goat. He placed it in front of the three-legged golden toad. This method worked. Seeing the six-horned goat in front of it, the three-legged golden toad's saliva flowed down like running water. Qin Haodong took the 2 bottles of dragon saliva and put the three-legged golden toad back into the spiritual beast bag. Then he returned to his room to refine pills. After closing the door, he set up a few restrictions in succession. Then with a thought, he returned to the 7th Order Pagoda. After consuming the Yuan Burst pill, there would be a period of weakness. Now that a strong enemy was on the side, an assassin might jump out at any time. This was the safest place. He took out the Shinong cauldron and the ingredients for refining pills. Everything was ready. He took out 3 minor Yuan Burst pills and swallowed them. In order to refine a 7th grade pill, he only needed to raise his cultivation by a small level and reach the early stage of body integration. The Yuan Burst pill had the strongest effect, but its side effects were also strong. It could only be consumed once every 24 hours, and the period of weakness was longer. In comparison, consuming the Yuan Burst pill now was the most suitable. After the pill entered his mouth, the vital qi in his body swelled, and he quickly reached the early stage of body integration. He used this limited time to refine pills. Half an hour later, the 7th Order Pagoda was filled with a rich pill fragrance. The 7th grade pill, the Dragon Power Pill, was finally refined. Qin Haodong patted the Shinong cauldron, and a series of 9 black pills flew out and landed in the porcelain bottle at the side. At the same time, the effects of the Yuan Burst pill disappeared, and a wave of weakness hit him. He picked up the small porcelain bottle. The Dragon Power Pill inside was emitting a rich pill fragrance, and there was even a golden pill pattern on it. Not bad. It should be able to help Zhao Xianlong break through his long-term threshold. He put the porcelain bottle into the storage ring, and then used the greenwood vital qi to recover his cultivation. About an hour later, the feeling of weakness slowly disappeared, and the vital qi in his body recovered. He took out another Dragon Power pill, and threw it into his mouth, wanting to see if it had any effect. In the end, half an hour had passed, and there was no reaction from the vital qi in his body. It seemed that pills had no effect on him. Qin Haodong shook his head slightly. If cultivation was compared to using a wooden bucket to fill water, then the process of others' cultivation was to continuously increase the height of the wooden bucket, and then fill it with water. Taking pills, tempering one's state of mind, and restraining one's inner demons was equivalent to increasing the height of the wooden bucket, and increasing the amount of spiritual qi was equivalent to filling it with water. His situation was extremely special. Now that the entire wooden bucket was done, the only thing he lacked was the water inside. It was not an exaggeration to say that as long as he had enough spiritual qi, he could reach the tribulation stage in a short period of time. Unfortunately, it was too difficult. The further he cultivated, the thicker the wooden bucket would become, and the spiritual qi needed would increase exponentially. If he could quietly cultivate on the 7th floor of the pagoda, He believed that he could reach the tribulation stage in less than 100 years with the density of the spiritual chi here. 100 years was nothing to other cultivators, but he could not wait. After 100 years, he did not know what would happen to the earth, and what would happen to it. Therefore, what he needed to do now was to do everything possible to find enough water to fill his wooden bucket, improve his cultivation, and then open the passage back to the earth. After recovering his cultivation, he left the pagoda and entered the palace with Zhao Xingyue again to see Zhao Xianlong. After seeing the two of them enter the door, Zhao Xianlong asked anxiously, "Haodong, how is it? Have you refined the pills?" He had been stuck at the perfection of the integration stage for too long, and he hoped to break through at every moment. Qin Haodong said with a smile, "I have good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first?" Zhao Xianlong said, "Of course I want to hear the good news. The good news is that the dragon power pill has been successfully refined. Now you can try to break through the bottleneck of the Mahayana stage." Qin Haodong stretched out his hand, and a black pill appeared in his palm. A strong pill fragrance immediately filled the room. "Oh my God, it's really the dragon power pill. Haodong, you are really amazing." Zhao Xianlong grabbed the pill and threw it into his mouth. Then he began to cultivate and break through. Zhao Xingyue pulled Qin Haodong's arm and asked with concern, "Haodong, can this pill really help my father break through the Mahayana stage?" Qin Haodong said, "Don't worry. The pills I refine will definitely be effective." After saying that, he set up a formation to hide his aura in the room. Zhao Xianlong's breakthrough had to be kept a secret for the time being. He could not let Zhang Sunqing know about it. As time went by, Zhao Xianlong's aura became stronger and stronger. About an hour later, there was a crisp sound in his mind. Then his aura instantly rose to the peak. He had finally broken through the early stage of the Mahayana stage. Zhao Xianlong opened his eyes and couldn't help laughing. "Breakthrough, Benwang really broke through." He stood up and said to Qin Haodong, "Good son-in-law, thank you." From now on, he had completely approved of this son-in-law. Qin Haodong said, "Your Majesty, I have some bad news here. Do you want to hear it?" Zhao Xianlong said with satisfaction, "Go ahead. Benwang is the king of a country, and now I have reached the Mahayana stage. Even if it is bad news, I can reverse it. Other things can be changed, but this doesn't seem to be possible." Qin Haodong looked at him and said, "Your Majesty, I saw Zhao Yu today." When it came to his son, Zhao Xianlong's expression changed. "That kid has always been a playboy. Did he provoke you? I'll teach him a lesson later." Qin Haodong shook his head and said, "Your Majesty, have you ever thought about whether Zhao Yu is your son or not?" Zhao Xianlong said with a stunned expression, "What do you mean?" Qin Haodong said, "I am proficient in medicine, and my understanding of aura is far better than ordinary people. Generally speaking, there is the same aura between father and son, but there is no aura between you and Zhao Yu. The worst thing is that Zhao Yu's aura is very similar to Zhang Suncheng's, so he is likely to be Zhang Suncheng's son." Zhao Xianlong's expression suddenly changed. According to Qin Haodong, not only had he been cuckolded by Wu Yuanyang, but they also had a son. Zhao Xingyue didn't expect Qin Haodong to say such a thing. She quickly pulled his sleeve and said, "Haodong, is what you said true? You can't say that." Qin Haodong said, "Of course it's important, but we can't hide it." Zhao Xianlong said angrily, "That's impossible. Wu Yuanyang and Zhang Suncheng are half-siblings. How could they have a son?" If Qin Haodong hadn't given him a dragon power pill, he would have driven him away. "Please calm down, Your Majesty. I'm just stating the facts. I don't mean to slander others." Qin Haodong said indifferently, "Your Majesty, who said that Wu Yuanyang and Zhang Suncheng are half-siblings?" Zhao Xianlong's expression froze. "Wu Yuanyang told me that." Qin Haodong said, "How credible do you think this is?" Zhao Xianlong was silent. He had never thought about this problem. However, the relationship between the two people was completely Wu Yuanyang's words. There was no evidence for what was going on. After a moment of silence, he said with a gloomy expression, "How sure are you?" Chapter 948. Qin Haodong said calmly, 100%. Zhao Xianlong didn't say anything. This matter was too serious. He couldn't determine that his son wasn't his just based on one person's words. Qin Haodong saw through his thoughts and said, "In fact, it's very easy to prove it. You just need to ask Wu Yuanyang." Zhao Xingyue said, "Even if it's true, how could she admit it?" Qin Haodong said, "That's easy. I happen to know a kind of mind-manipulating skill. No one can lie under it. I can pass it on to the king. You can ask Wu Yuanyang." He knew that this was a serious matter. Even if he used the mind-manipulating technique on Wu Yuanyang, Zhao Xianlong would not completely believe him. The best way was to teach the mind-manipulating technique to Zhao Xianlong and let him use it himself. Zhao Xianlong pondered for a moment and said, "This is a good idea. We'll do as you say." The mind-manipulating technique was not a very advanced technique, and Zhao Xianlong soon learned most of it. He summoned a few eunuchs and palace maids from outside and tested the effects of the mind-manipulating technique. After confirming that the method was accurate, he asked Si Baoquan to summon Wu Yuanyang. Because of the bone maggot, Wu Yuanyang didn't have much fear of Zhao Xianlong, so she came over without hesitation. After entering the door, she glanced at Qin Haodong and Zhao Xingyue, and then asked, "Your Majesty, what's the matter?" Zhao Xianlong didn't talk nonsense. He directly used mind manipulating and asked, "Tell me, what's your relationship with Zhang Suncheng?" Wu Yuanyang was just an ordinary person and didn't have a strong mental ability. Under the mind manipulating, a trace of confusion flashed in her eyes. And then she said, "He was my first love." What? Although Qin Haodong had said it in advance, Zhao Xianlong was still angry when he got the answer. "You bitch, didn't you say he was your half-brother?" Wu Yuanyang said indifferently, "That's all a lie." Zhao Xianlong suppressed the anger in his heart and asked again, "Whose son is Zhao Yu?" Wu Yuanyang said, "He is the son of me and Zhang Suncheng." "Bitch, I'll kill you." The rage in Zhao Xianlong's heart instantly erupted. No man would be able to tolerate such an outcome. Moreover, he was the ruler of a nation. Qin Haodong hurriedly stopped him and said, "Your Majesty, don't worry. Don't touch Wu Yuanyang before we deal with Zhang Suncheng. Otherwise, it will be easy to alert the enemy." Zhao Xingyue also advised, "That's right, father. The most important thing right now is to figure out what exactly happened." Zhao Xianlong knew that what the two of them said made sense. He took a deep breath, suppressed the anger in his heart, and asked again, "Tell me what's going on." Wu Yuanyang said, 18 years ago, Zhang Suncheng was originally my lover, but he was suddenly taken away by master to cultivate in seclusion, leaving me alone. My father didn't agree to us being together, and it just so happened that the king was choosing a concubine, so my father sent me to the palace. After entering the palace, I discovered that I was already pregnant. Afterwards, I gave birth to you. At first, I thought that would be the end of my life. But 3 years later, Zhang Suncheng suddenly appeared in front of me. I told him the truth. Finally, we agreed to let our son become the king of Xuanwu Kingdom in the future. After that, I recommended him to be the imperial preceptor of Black Tortoise Kingdom, and secretly killed the queen and the other princes. Also that our son could one day inherit your throne. Zhao Xianlong gritted his teeth angrily and asked again. "And then?" Wu Yuanyang said, "When Yuer inherits the throne, we will kill you, and then our family of 3 can be together." "Bitch!" The angry Zhao Xianlong slapped Wu Yuanyang's face. This vicious woman not only made him a cuckold, but also came up with such an insidious way. If Qin Haodong hadn't seen through all this, he was afraid that in the future, he would have given the throne to the enemy who killed his son. This slap directly woke Wu Yuanyang up. She looked at everything in front of her in horror. "Your Majesty, what the hell is going on?" Zhao Xianlong said with a ferocious look. "You bitch, you killed my queen, killed my prince, and now you colluded with Zhang Suncheng to seize my throne. What do you think I should do with you?" Wu Yuanyang's expression changed. She didn't remember what she had just said. She said again, "Your Majesty, I'm wronged. I did all this for our son Zhao Yu." Zhao Xianlong said angrily, "Shut up. Zhao Yu is the bastard of you and Zhang Suncheng. What does it have to do with me?" "Your Majesty." Wu Yuanyang was stunned. She didn't expect that such a secret would be known by Zhao Xianlong. "Your Majesty, Who did you hear this nonsense from? Is it the boy surnamed Qin? Don't believe it. He and Zhao Xingyue are just jealous of your status. Before she finished speaking, Zhao Xianlong slapped her face again. Bitch, how long do you want to lie to me? Wu Yuanyang cried with an aggrieved face. Your Majesty, I'm really wronged. I've never done anything wrong to you, Zhao Xianlong said. That's enough, Wu Yuanyang. Stop acting. You told me all these things. How else do you think I know? I just used mind manipulating, so you told me the whole truth. Mind manipulating? Wu Yuanyang finally understood what was going on. Seeing that her plot had been exposed, she also revealed her true colors. She shouted with a sinister expression. Zhao Xianlong, you forced me to do this. We originally wanted to wait for you to take the throne before killing you. But now we can only send you on your way in advance. After that, she took out a small drum from her pocket and began to activate the bone maggots. Wu Yuanyang didn't want to kill Zhao Xianlong, but to force him to submit. However, after a long time, he still looked indifferent and had no reaction. What the hell is going on? Wu Yuanyang looked at the small drum in her hand and didn't know what was going on. In the past, the bone maggots have been used every time. Why didn't it work today? Zhao Xingyue said. Don't bother. The bone maggots have been taken out by Haodong. It's useless even if you break the drum. Wu Yuanyang cried with a crazy expression. This is impossible, absolutely impossible. There is no cure for the bone maggots. How can it be taken out? Zhao Xianlong took out the small glass bottle from his pocket and said, My good son-in-law has amazing medical skills. Nothing is impossible. Seeing the bone maggots wriggling in the glass bottle, Wu Yuanyang's eyes flashed with despair. Then she gritted her teeth and looked at Qin Haodong. She said, Qin Haodong, you have ruined my plans again and again. Just you wait, my man will not forgive you. Zhao Xianlong said with a gloomy expression. You bitch, just wait for me to kill Zhang Suncheng, and then reunite your family in hell. Wu Yuanyang cried. That's impossible. Zhang Suncheng is the #1 person in Xuanwu Kingdom. He is a master in the Desheng stage. You are no match for him. If it weren't for my son's throne, he would have killed you long ago. I advise you to let me go as soon as possible. My man will not let you go. The Desheng stage? Zhao Xianlong sneered and said, I forgot to tell you that Haodong has just helped me improve my cultivation to the Desheng stage. It's you again. I'm going to kill you. Her plans had been ruined by Qin Haodong again and again. Wu Yuanyang had completely lost her mind. She rushed at Qin Haodong crazily, but she was kicked to the ground by Zhao Xianlong when she had just taken a few steps. Lock her up. I'll deal with her together after I kill Zhang Suncheng. Zhao Xianlong waved his hand and Si Baoquan immediately took people to lock Wu Yuanyang up. Zhao Xingyue asked, Father, what are you going to do? Zhao Xianlong looked at Qin Haodong and said, Haodong, what do you think we should do next? Qin Haodong said, Wu Yuanyang has been in the palace for so long. It's inevitable that there will be some of her cronies. It's easy to leak the news if it drags on for too long. I think it's better to take action first and get rid of Zhang Sunqing now. Zhao Xianlong said, You're right. Let's do it now. Then he said to Sheng Guanqiong, who was standing next to him, Close the palace gate and forbid anyone from leaving. Mobilize 10,000 imperial guards immediately and surround the National Master's mansion. In the National Master's mansion, Zhao Yu said to Zhang Suncheng, National Master, can you think of a way for me to sit on the throne as soon as possible? At that time, I must kill Zhao Xingyue and Qin Haodong to avenge my mother. Zhang Suncheng shook his head and said, Handing over the throne after 2 years is Zhao Xianlong's limit. Don't worry, haste makes waste. Now there is only one prince in the whole Xuanwu kingdom, and the throne will be yours sooner or later. No one can take it away, Zhao Yu said. But I can't wait to kill Qin Haodong now and take all his women. National Master, you have many masters under you. Send someone to kill Qin Haodong now. This was his real thought. After meeting Qin Haodong today, he was immediately fascinated by Tu Jiaojiao, Yin Qianqian and other women. Although he was a prince, and there were many beautiful women around him, there was no one like Qin Haodong. Speaking of assassination, Zhang Sunqing frowned immediately. He had sent the 4 King Kongs out before. But after waiting for a day, there was no news. Not even the shadow of the 4 King Kongs was found. This made him full of doubts. Where did the 4 King Kongs go? The most important thing was that the assassin was still alive. If Qin Haodong killed these 4 people quietly, he would not believe it. They were 4 masters in the form synthesis stage. Even if they took the big boosting yuan pill, they could not do this. Seeing that he did not speak, Zhao Yu shouted again. National Master, what are you hesitating about? Qin Haodong must die. Zhang Sunqing said. Well, I'll find a few more people to go and have a look. In any case, Qin Haodong was also a big problem in his plan, so he had to get rid of this person first. But before he went out to call someone, the housekeeper rushed in and said, Master, something bad has happened. Zhang Sunqing frowned and said, What's the fuss? The housekeeper said in a panic, Master, something bad has happened. Our national master's mansion has been completely surrounded by the imperial army. What did you say? How is this possible? Did you see wrong? Zhang Sunqing grabbed the housekeeper's collar. The housekeeper said in a panic, I didn't see wrong, I really didn't see wrong. The imperial army surrounding the national master's mansion is led by Commander Si Baoquan and Deputy Commander Sheng Guanqiong. Even the king came in person. Zhang Sunqing turned pale with fright. Zhao Xianlong personally led a team to surround his mansion. What was going on? Could it be that his plot had been exposed? Normally it was impossible. At this moment, a powerful voice resounded in the air. Zhang Sunqing the traitor, come out and die. Zhang Sunqing rushed out of the room and saw that the entire national master's mansion had been surrounded. The walls were full of imperial soldiers, each holding a god-killing arrow in their hands, and the entire mansion was locked down. Chapter 949. The one who just shouted was Si Baoquan, the commander of the imperial palace. Seeing Zhang Sunqing come out, he raised his hand, and many guards aimed their god-killing arrows at him. Zhang Sunqing looked at Zhao Xianlong and asked in a deep voice, Your Majesty, what's going on? Did I do something wrong? Zhao Xianlong waved his hand, and 4 bodies were immediately carried over. Although the 4 of them were wearing ghost masks, Zhang Sunqing still recognized them at a glance. They were his 4 missing disciples. Zhao Xianlong said, Zhang Sunqing, you know these people, don't you? You colluded with the Ghost King sect to attack my son-in-law. Isn't this rebellion? At this point, Zhang Sunqing had no time to think about how the 4 Vajras fell into Zhao Xianlong's hands. He put on an aggrieved expression and said, Your Majesty, I really don't know what's going on. Perhaps these 4 evil disciples had done it on their own, or perhaps someone had deliberately framed them. In any case, my loyalty to the kingdom can be seen by the sun. I would never do such a rebellious thing. Whether it's rebellion or not, we have to investigate it first. Zhao Xianlong shouted sternly, Come take Zhang Sunqing down. Father, wait a minute. At this time, Prince Zhao Yu hurried out and said to Zhao Xianlong, Father, the nation master was really wronged. I can guarantee that the nation master would never rebel. Zhao Xianlong sneered. If Qin Haodong hadn't helped him find out their secret, he would have been fooled by the father and son's acting. But he must not tell others that he was cuckolded, or it would become a scandal of the whole kingdom. He shouted sternly, Zhao Yu, as a prince, you appeared in a minister's mansion in the middle of the night. What do you want? According to the rules of the Black Tortoise Kingdom, whether it was a prince or a princess, they were not allowed to be too close to their ministers before they succeeded the throne. Otherwise, they would be regarded as forming a clique and plotting a rebellion. Zhao Yu usually relied on Wu Yuanyang's favor, and was used to being arrogant and domineering. He did whatever he wanted and never thought about this. Now that he was pointed out by Zhao Xianlong in front of everyone, he was at a loss as to what to do. I am only here to discuss some issues with the imperial tutor. Are you discussing how to snatch this king's throne? Zhao Xianlong shouted sternly. Hurry up and scram to the side. Although the surrounding imperial guards were expressionless, they were quite shocked. In the past, Zhao Xianlong had always doted on this prince. This was the first time he had been so strict with him. Zhang Sunqing had been watching from the side. He had already determined that Zhao Xianlong was determined to make a move on him today. Seeing that it was useless even if Zhao Yu interceded, he took out a jade bottle from his pocket and said, "Your Majesty, this old subject is absolutely loyal to Black Tortoise Kingdom. I have been refining tonics for your Majesty every month." In his hand was the antidote for the bone maggot. In the past, he gave Zhao Xianlong 1 pill every month, but now he couldn't care too much and directly took it out as his trump card. Zhao Xianlong smiled coldly. He took out the small glass bottle and threw it over. Zhang Suncheng reached out and caught the glass bottle. When he saw the bone maggot wriggling inside, his expression suddenly changed and he cried out in shock. "Impossible! This is impossible! There is no antidote for the bone maggot." Zhao Xianlong sneered and said, "Isn't it just a poisonous bug? My husband is a divine doctor. There is no disease that he can't cure." Only then did Zhang Suncheng understand why Zhao Xianlong dared to come to him tonight. It turned out that the poisonous bug in his body had been cured. He gritted his teeth and said, "It's that damn boy again. I should have killed him myself." But after looking around, he didn't see Qin Haodong. Zhao Xianlong shouted sternly, "Zhang Suncheng intends to rebel. Take him down. If he resists, immediately shoot him on the spot." A fierce light flashed in Zhang Suncheng's eyes. He knew that things would not be good today. He reached out to grab Zhao Yu and strangled him with one hand. "Zhao Xianlong, don't forget that your son is still in my hands." Zhao Yu cried in horror. "National Master, what are you doing? Let me go quickly. Father, hurry up and save me, father." Si Baoquan, Shang Guanxiong and the others also changed their expressions. Now that the prince had become a hostage, they would probably be restrained if they took action. But to everyone's surprise, Zhao Xianlong did not panic at all. On the contrary, he said coldly, "Rebel, if you have the ability, then kill one for me to see." He was very clear that Zhang Suncheng was bluffing. Zhao Yu was obviously a bastard. He didn't care whether he was dead or alive. Zhang Suncheng was a little confused. Zhao Yu was Zhao Xianlong's only son, the heir of Xuanwu Kingdom. Why didn't he care at all? Could it be that the matter had been exposed? Thinking of this, he shook his head again. Only he and Wu Yuanyang knew about this matter. It was impossible for the news to be leaked. But Zhao Xianlong didn't care about Zhao Yu's life and death. He would not kill him no matter what because Zhao Yu was his own son. At this time, Zhao Xianlong shouted again. "Prince Zhao Yu colluded with the traitor Zhang Suncheng to poison me. They are plotting a rebellion. Shoot them with me." Hearing this order, Shang Guanxiong and the rest were stunned. They couldn't figure out what was going on. Hearing this order to kill, Zhang Suncheng's heart sank. It seemed like Zhao Xianlong knew Zhao Yu's secret. Otherwise, he wouldn't kill his own son no matter what. Now that things had come to this, he could only cut off all means of retreat. He threw Zhao Yu back into the room and leaped toward Zhao Xianlong. According to Zhang Suncheng's idea, as long as he killed Zhao Xianlong, Zhao Yu could directly inherit the throne. Even if there were objections from the other officials, he could slowly suppress them with his own strength. Although this would cause Xuanwu Kingdom's vitality to be greatly damaged, there was no other way. He could only take the risk. He was a great ascension expert. Even though flying was forbidden in the royal city, his speed was still as fast as lightning, rushing toward Zhao Xianlong. "Release the arrows! Quickly release the arrows!" Si Baoquan, who regained his senses, immediately gave the order to the archers under him. Immediately, a dense rain of arrows shot toward Zhang Suncheng like raindrops. However, his speed was too fast. Most of the god-killing arrows missed, and only a few hit the target. However, these arrows were very casually knocked away by him. On a roof 800 meters away, there was a state-of-the-art anti-weapon sniper in front of him. At this time, he was observing everything happening in the National Advisor's mansion through the scope. Seeing Zhang Suncheng's performance, he couldn't help but secretly shake his head. It seemed that these god-killing arrows were indeed useless against a great ascension expert. He could only pin his hopes on this big guy in front of him. He didn't come with Zhao Xianlong. Instead, he secretly hid here in order to find a suitable opportunity to attack. Protect the king. Seeing that the god-killing arrows were ineffective, Si Baoquan and Shang Guanxiong both stood in front of Zhao Xianlong. Unfortunately, although they were loyal, they were not strong enough. In the blink of an eye, they were sent flying by Zhang Suncheng. They almost didn't play the slightest role in blocking. Zhao Xianlong died. Zhang Suncheng leaped into the air and smashed down with his palm that carried wind and thunder. At this moment, the two were too close to each other. Even the archers didn't dare to shoot for fear of accidentally hurting the king. Zhao Xianlong looked calm, and even a flash of excitement flashed in his eyes. He raised his hand and smashed out. He had just broken through to the Great Ascension stage, and he also wanted to test his cultivation. With a loud bang, the confrontation between the two masters of the Great Ascension stage was earth-shattering. After the two palms collided, a tornado-like airwave was set off, and the surrounding Imperial guards were shaken back one after another. Zhang Suncheng thought that he would kill Zhao Xianlong with one blow. Unexpectedly, not only did he fail to kill Zhao Xianlong, but he was shaken back 7 or 8 steps. Although Zhao Xianlong flew back in the air and was at a disadvantage in the confrontation, it was obvious that the difference between them was not too big. Zhang Suncheng stopped and cried with a surprised face. "You have also reached the Great Ascension stage?" Zhao Xianlong said proudly. "How about it? You didn't expect it, did you?" Zhang Suncheng shouted coldly. "So what? You are still no match for me." After that, he rushed over again, and the two men fought together. The confrontation between the masters of the Great Ascension stage could only be watched by the side. Although Zhao Xianlong brought 10,000 Imperial guards, none of them could help. After fighting for more than a dozen rounds, the palms of the two men collided again. After all, Zhao Xianlong had just entered the Great Ascension stage. In terms of cultivation, he was still a little weaker than Zhang Suncheng. In this collision, he suffered some losses. He flew back tens of meters in the air. His chest was hot, and he almost spat out a mouthful of old blood. Although Si Baoquan suffered some internal injuries, he had been watching from the side. After seizing this opportunity, he ordered again, "Shoot arrows for me." Suddenly, the Imperial guards present shot thousands of arrows at the same time, and countless god-slaying arrows shot at Zhang Suncheng with a sharp sound. "Break for me!" Zhang Suncheng shouted loudly, and his momentum broke out to the peak, shaking down the god-slaying arrows. But at this moment, a loud bang came in the night sky, and then a golden bullet broke through Zhang Suncheng's body protection and directly shot through his right chest. He was ready to attack Zhao Xianlong again, but he did not expect to be accidentally injured. "What is this?" Zhang Suncheng spat out a big mouthful of blood, looked at the injury on his chest, and looked around, not understanding how he got injured. Zhao Xianlong was far away from him, and it was impossible for him to attack himself. The god-slaying arrows of these Imperial guards were all shaken off by him. What kind of hidden weapon hurt him? But now he had no time to think so much. The bullet just completely pierced his right chest, and his internal organs were severely injured. If he stayed here, he could only wait for death. He must leave as soon as possible. Thinking of this, he moved his feet to leave, but Zhao Xianlong would not give him this opportunity. Although he did not know how Qin Haodong did it, nor did he know how the bloody hole in Zhang Suncheng's chest appeared, the other party was indeed seriously injured. Taking advantage of your illness, he punched out with both fists, and the shadow of the fists instantly drowned Zhang Suncheng. This time the situation was completely reversed. After being seriously injured, Zhang Suncheng was not an opponent at all, and was beaten back. Qin Haodong nodded with satisfaction. It was worthy of being the most advanced anti-weapon sniper. The sniper rifle not only had a long range, but also had great power. It was a sniper refined by the mysterious evil gathering furnace. Sniper rifle. The bullet was also very powerful, and it successfully broke through Zhang Suncheng's body protection. Of course, this was also because his spirit was strong enough to be able to lock Zhang Suncheng's body in rapid movement. Otherwise, no matter how good his marksmanship was, he would not be able to hit the target. Zhang Suncheng did not know this. He finally seized an opportunity to hit Zhao Xianlong's palm again, and his body flew high, trying to escape quickly with the force of the shock. Everything was planned perfectly, but he heard a loud bang in the middle of the air, and then a sharp pain came from his two legs. His two knees were abruptly broken. Chapter 950. Ah! Zhang Suncheng let out a painful cry and fell to the ground. He looked around and roared angrily. Who is it? If you have the ability, come out and fight with me. Seeing that he was seriously injured, Si Baoquan ordered again. Shoot the arrows. Whoosh 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 whoosh. Although Zhang Suncheng was injured, his genuine qi was still there. He was not afraid of the god-killing arrows, but the hidden danger. Sure enough, what he feared had come true. Just as he was desperately using his protective qi to block the god-killing arrows, another loud boom rang out. A golden bullet instantly appeared in front of him, broke through his genuine qi, and shot into his Naiwan palace. With a bang, a powerful anti-material sniper rifle was shot in front of him. The sniper rifle bullet directly exploded Zhang Suncheng's head. It was a headshot. The poor state preceptor of Black Tortoise Kingdom, a master of the great vehicle stage, did not find out where his enemy was until he died. After killing Zhang Suncheng with 3 shots, Qin Haodong finally breathed a sigh of relief. In any case, he would not let an enemy of the great vehicle stage live. Otherwise, once the other party knew of his existence, the consequences would be unimaginable. Zhao Xianlong's tense nerves also relaxed. After getting rid of such a big trouble, Black Tortoise Kingdom would have no worries in the future. He had people deal with Zhang Suncheng's body and asked Shengguan Qiong to catch Zhao Yu and bring him back to the palace. After Wu Yuanyang was locked in the cold palace, her heart was full of desolation and fear as she looked at the cold palace walls around her. However, she still had a glimmer of hope in her heart, and that was Zhang Suncheng. She hoped that the man known as the #1 master of Black Tortoise Kingdom could save her from here. It would be best if he could kill Zhao Xianlong and make her son the king. And that Qin boy, once he falls into my hands one day, I will cut him into pieces and grind his bones to ashes. If there was someone she hated the most now, it would be Qin Haodong. If it were not for the sudden appearance of this young man, her plan would have been carried out in an orderly manner. Zhao Xingyue would not have suddenly changed. Zhao Xianlong would not have gotten rid of the maggots in his bones. He would not have discovered her secret, and he would not have advanced to the great vehicle stage. In short, the reason why she fell into this situation today was entirely Qin Haodong's fault. Just as she was gnashing her teeth in hatred, the palace doors opened and a ray of light shone in from the outside. Is Big Brother coming to pick me up? Wu Yuanyang jumped up from the ground and rushed to the door, but she didn't see Zhang Suncheng. Instead, Qin Haodong, Zhao Xianlong, and Zhao Xingyue came in from the outside. Why are you guys here? Zhao Xianlong sneered and said, What? Are you a little disappointed? Do you think Zhang Suncheng will come and save you? Wu Yuanyang calmed herself down and said, I'm telling you, please don't do anything to us. Otherwise he won't let you go. Zhao Xianlong said, You think too much. What can a dead man do to us? A look of astonishment flashed across Wu Yuanyang's face, and then she cried, What? This was impossible. My big brother is the #1 expert. You can't kill him. You don't believe what I said, do you? Then find someone you trust to let you know. Zhao Xianlong waved his hand and Shengguan Qiong brought Zhao Yu in from the outside. As soon as he entered the door, he shouted to Wu Yuanyang, Mother, father is crazy. He not only killed the national master but also captured me. Help me. Hearing the news, Wu Yuanyang's body shook. She grabbed Zhao Yu's collar and cried, What did you say? Zhang Suncheng is really dead? Although Zhao Yu knew that Zhang Suncheng was a trusted follower of them, he didn't know that he was his biological father. He said, Yes, he died in a strange way. His head exploded. After confirming that her last backer had fallen, Wu Yuanyang plopped to the ground, her eyes full of despair. Zhao Xianlong said, How is it? You don't have any hope now, do you? Wu Yuanyang came to her senses and knelt in front of Zhao Xianlong begging, Your Majesty, I was confused for a moment. Please let me go this time. Zhao Xingyue shouted angrily, You vicious woman, do you know how to beg for mercy now? How did you kill my mother? How did you hurt my brothers and sisters? You must die today. Zhao Yu was a spoiled brat who only knew how to eat, drink, and have fun. He had no idea what Wu Yuanyang and Zhang Suncheng were doing. Seeing everything in front of him, he stood there dumbfounded, not knowing what was going on. Seeing that there was no hope of begging, Wu Yuanyang's eyes flashed with madness. She rushed to Qin Haodong with her teeth and claws and said, "Bastard, it's all your fault." But as soon as she rushed over, she was kicked away and hit the wall behind her. She fell to the ground and spat out mouthfuls of blood. Qin Haodong would not show any mercy to such a vicious woman. If it weren't for Zhao Xingyue, he would have killed her directly. "Mother!" Zhao Yu rushed over to help Wu Yuanyang up. Then he turned back and shouted angrily, "Zhao Xingyue, look at your wild man. How dare he hurt my mother?" Zhao Xingyue glanced at him with disgust and said, "You bastard, shut up." His sister, who had always swallowed her anger, actually dared to speak to him like this. Zhao Yu shouted at Zhao Xianlong, "You saw it too. This slut actually dared to call me a bastard. I am your only son. In the future, I will inherit the throne." Before he finished speaking, Zhao Xianlong slapped him in the face and said, "You bastard, how dare you talk to my daughter like this?" Although Zhao Xianlong didn't use his genuine qi, Zhao Yu was still slapped on the ground several times, and then fell beside Wu Yuanyang. When he came to his senses, he covered his swollen cheek and said, "Father, are you crazy? I'm your only son. Why did you hit me?" Zhao Xianlong said with a grim look, "Whose son are you? Ask this bitch." Zhao Yu pulled Wu Yuanyang and asked, "Mother, what's going on? Tell father that I'm his son, and will inherit the throne in the future." Wu Yuanyang's face flashed with desolation and despair. "Son, don't dream of ascending the throne. Your father is not this man in front of you, but Zhang Suncheng. Impossible, it's not like this. I want to be the king. I don't want Zhang Suncheng to be my father." For many years, Zhao Yu had dreamed of ascending the throne one day. When he heard the news, he seemed to have lost his mind. He turned around and knelt in front of Zhao Xianlong, hugged his legs and cried, "Father, I'm your son. I beg you to let me be your son. You don't have any other sons besides me." Zhao Xianlong's eyes flashed with disgust. He raised his leg and kicked him away again. "Bastard, get out of here. Although I have no son, I still have a daughter who can inherit the throne." Qin Haodong took 2 steps forward, squatted down and looked at Zhao Yu. "Do you remember our bet? I bet you can't sit on the throne. What do you think? Do you accept it now?" "I don't accept it, I don't accept it. I'm father's only son. I'm the future king. I promise that none of you can take me away." Zhao Yu shouted crazily and then laughed. "I'm the king. I'm the king of Xuanwu Kingdom now. None of you can take me away. None of you can stop me." Looking at his crazy look, Qin Haodong shook his head. Desire was a terrible thing that could make people go crazy. Looking at her son, a complicated look flashed in Wu Yuanyang's eyes. There was heartache, regret, helplessness and anger. She said to Zhao Xianlong, "For the sake of us being husband and wife, can you spare my son's life?" A crazy look flashed on Zhao Xianlong's face. "We were husband and wife back then. Did you spare my son's life? You killed 2 of my sons and a daughter. Now you have the nerve to ask me to spare your son's life. I really don't know how you can say that." After saying that, he waved his hand to Shengguan Qiong beside him. "Take Zhao Yu out of here and kill him." As the king of a kingdom, he had never been a merciful person. He knew the principle of removing weeds by the roots. Since he had already killed Zhang Suncheng, he could not let his son live in this world. Shengguan Qiong agreed, and went forward with 2 guards to carry Zhao Yu away. "Let me go. What are you doing? I'm the king of Xuanwu Kingdom. How dare you servants? Believe it or not, I'll kill your entire family." Zhao Yu kept shouting and cursing. Suddenly everything stopped. Obviously he had been beheaded. Seeing her son killed, a look of pain flashed on Wu Yuanyang's face. Zhao Xingyue walked forward with a long sword in her hand and said, "You vicious woman. You killed my mother and my brothers and sisters. Now that you've tasted separation between life and death, it's time to send you on your way." After saying that, she thrust the long sword forward and pierced Wu Yuanyang's heart. The malignant tumor that had been hiding in the Black Tortoise Palace for 20 years could be considered to have been completely eradicated. This matter was done in secret. The next day, Zhao Xianlong announced to the world that the national teacher Zhang Suncheng had colluded with the Ghost King sect to rebel and was killed on the spot. Queen Wu Yuanyang and Prince Zhao Yu were seriously ill and unfortunately died suddenly. The next night, everything was settled. Zhao Xianlong held a banquet in the palace to entertain Qin Haodong, and Zhao Xingyue accompanied him. After eating and drinking for a while, Zhao Xianlong said, "Haodong, I'd like to propose a toast to you. Thank you for helping me kill Zhang Suncheng and eradicating Wu Yuanyang. You've done a great service for the Xuanwu kingdom." "It's nothing. Your Majesty is too polite." Qin Haodong was polite. He picked up the glass in front of him and drank it. Putting down the glass, Zhao Xianlong asked, "There's one thing I don't understand. How did you kill Zhang Suncheng?" This had always been a question in his heart. Zhang Suncheng was a master of the Desheng stage. Ordinary swords couldn't hurt him at all. He didn't know how he was injured by Qin Haodong, and finally his head exploded. Qin Haodong said, "In fact, it's nothing. It's just that my master left me a magic weapon before he left. This thing is not very useful in a head-on confrontation. It's only suitable for long-distance assassination. If I were to face Zhang Suncheng directly, I would be the one to die." He was telling the truth. If Zhao Xianlong hadn't attracted Zhang Suncheng's attention in the front, and if there hadn't been so many archers god-killing arrows to threaten him, he was afraid that he would have to rely on anti-material sniper rifles. The sniper rifle couldn't succeed at all. Therefore, being able to kill Zhang Suncheng was the result of a combination of the right time, the right place, and the right person. Zhao Xianlong nodded. He knew that everyone had their own secrets, so he didn't ask more. He said, "Haodong, I only have one daughter left, Xingyue. I want to pass the throne to her. Unfortunately, this girl's character is still not very mature. I want you to be the king of the Xuanwu kingdom. What do you think?" Chapter 951. Qin Haodong was slightly stunned. Then he shook his head and said, "Your Majesty, I'm not interested in being an official, let alone a king. I think Xingyue is very capable. You'd better train her. I can provide enough support." Zhao Xianlong said, "Why? Isn't it good to be a king?" He had the power to control the entire kingdom, and he was above tens of thousands of people. In order for their son to sit on the throne, Zhang Suncheng and Wu Yuanyang have worked painstakingly for so many years just for this. Qin Haodong waved his hand and said, "Your Majesty, everyone has their own ambitions. I really don't want to be a king." "Well, if you really don't want to, then forget it." Zhao Xianlong sighed and said, "I can see that you're definitely a dragon among men. You don't even want to be a king. What's your dream?" Qin Haodong said, "There's only one thing I want to do. That is to quickly improve my cultivation, and then do something very important to me." "Oh," Zhao Xingyue said, "can you tell us what it is? My father and I can help you." Qin Haodong said, "Only I can do it myself. No one can help me." He would never tell anyone about the space loophole to return to Earth. After all, people's hearts were sinister. Once someone with ulterior motives knew about it, it would bring disaster to Earth. Zhao Xianlong said, "Will it take a long time? How about you come back to inherit the throne after you're done?" Qin Haodong said, "It's hard to say when I'll be done. Even if I'm done, I have no interest in being a king." "Well, since you don't want to, then I won't force you," Zhao Xianlong said with regret. "Thank you, Your Majesty," Qin Haodong said. "Your Majesty, we're going back to Black Tortoise Academy tomorrow morning." Zhao Xianlong said, "Are you in such a hurry? You can stay in King City for a while before leaving." Qin Haodong said, "No, we've been out for a long time. The day of the North-South College competition is coming. We have to hurry back." Seeing that Qin Haodong was about to leave, Zhao Xingyue said, "Father, I want to go back too." "Absolutely not. You're my only daughter now. You must stay with me to learn how to deal with state affairs. I'll leave Black Tortoise Kingdom to you in the future." "But," Zhao Xingyue looked at Qin Haodong with reluctance. Zhao Xianlong firmly said, "No buts. Even if you sneak out this time, I will go to Black Tortoise Institute to catch you back." Qin Haodong said, "Xingyue, it's not suitable for you to go back to the Black Tortoise Academy now. You'd better stay in the palace. We'll come to see you when we have time." Zhao Xingyue could only say helplessly, "Well, remember what you said." After dinner, it was almost midnight. Zhao Xingyue didn't let Qin Haodong go back to the station, but asked him to stay in her palace. He washed up and was about to go to bed when the door opened, and Zhao Xingyue walked in wearing a pair of black lace lingerie. Xingyue, why are you here? This black lace nightgown formed a sharp contrast with Zhao Xingyue's fair skin. Her sexy and alluring collarbone, fair and slender thighs, coupled with her exquisite curves, was a strong temptation to any man. Although it was not the first time he had seen it, Qin Haodong still felt a little thirsty. Zhao Xingyue's cheeks were rosy. Red did not speak. She pressed Qin Haodong down on the bed, and then lay down next to him. She held his arm tightly with her arms, and pressed her hot cheek against his shoulder. A warm and soft feeling came over him, but Qin Haodong felt stiff all over. He said, Xingyue, what are you doing? Brother Qin, you're leaving tomorrow. Take me tonight. Zhao Xingyue's eyes were closed as she spoke. Her cheeks were as red as blood, and her voice was as low as a mosquito's. If Qin Haodong hadn't had an amazing hearing, he wouldn't have been able to hear what she was saying. He patted Zhao Xingyue on the shoulder and said, We've known each other for too short a time. We're not suitable for each other. Zhao Xingyue suddenly raised her head and said, Brother Qin, you've already participated in my marriage contest. Are you going back on your word? Qin Haodong said, Xingyue, in fact, the marriage contest was just a formality. The purpose was to deal with Wu Yuanyang. We still have a long way to go in the future, so we don't have to rush. Zhao Xingyue said, But Brother Qin, I really like you. I don't want you to leave. Why don't you stay? Father has said that he wants you to be a king. I want to be your wife. Qin Haodong smiled and said, You're thinking too simply. I really don't want to be a king. Even if I want to be, your father won't agree. He can't hand over the Black Tortoise Kingdom to an outsider like me. Zhao Xingyue said with a strange face, But father said that he wants you to be a king at dinner today. You still have a lot to learn. If you want to inherit your father's position, you can learn slowly in the future. Zhao Xingyue asked doubtfully, I don't understand what you mean. What's there to understand? It's not easy to guess the heart of an emperor. Qin Haodong said, If I had directly agreed at the banquet today or behaved ecstatically, I'm afraid your father would have attacked me at this moment. Zhao Xingyue asked again, Why? You've helped our Black Tortoise royal family a lot this time. If it weren't for you, I'm afraid we wouldn't have been able to get rid of Zhang Suncheng and Wu Yuanyang, let alone discover Zhao Yu's secret. Father is very grateful to you. How could he attack you? As an emperor, the first thing to do is to be ruthless. Gratitude is gratitude, and interests are interests. Qin Haodong said, There are many reasons for this. In your father's eyes, I'm a person of unknown origin. He doesn't know my purpose in coming to the Black Tortoise Kingdom. Other things are easy to handle. If you want to control the whole Black Tortoise Kingdom, he will not allow it no matter what. You're his daughter, so he can pass the throne to you. But I'm an irrelevant person, so I can't touch the throne. Zhao Xingyue's face flashed with confusion, and then she said, Is that true? But you're my son-in-law and father promised it himself. Qin Haodong said, Marriage is marriage and bloodline is bloodline. Marriage can never replace bloodline. For example, Wu Yuanyang is your father's wife, but she always has disloyalty in her heart. Some things are irreplaceable. If your father had a son, the throne would never be yours. In the absence of a son, he could only reluctantly use his daughter to succeed him. There were some things that were not completely said. At present, Zhao Xianlong was full of too many doubts and uncertainties. Anti-material sniper rifle killing Zhang Suncheng not only helped him a lot, but also made his heart full of fear. A person who had the ability to kill a master of the Deshang stage was absolutely unbelievable. Moreover, Zhao Xingyue's ability was not enough, and her character was relatively simple. So Zhao Xianlong tried to test Qin Haodong tonight. The purpose was to test whether Qin Haodong had ambitions for the throne. Even if he refused repeatedly, Zhao Xianlong was not completely relieved. Otherwise, he would have let him marry Zhao Xingyue. Instead of letting him go, Zhao Xingyue listened with a dull expression. After a while she said, I don't think my father is that kind of person. Qin Haodong said, It can only be said that you have always underestimated your father. Think about it. A person who has been implanted with maggots can still use his own advantages to negotiate with the other party. This is definitely not something that ordinary people can do. And Zhangsun City is like the sun at high noon. Plus he is in cahoots with the queen. The two of them have great power, but they can only control a small part of the Black Tortoise Kingdom. Most of them are still loyal to your father. What does this mean? It means his ability. You men's minds are too complicated. Zhao Xingyue said. I don't think I'm suitable to be a king. How about I go back to the Black Tortoise College with you? Qin Haodong said. That's impossible. You are now the only heir of the kingdom. How can I let you go? If you really want to do that, then hurry up and choose a princess for your father. As long as you give birth to another son, you can regain your freedom. In fact, Zhao Xianlong's choice of an heir was just a formality, in case of emergencies. His lifespan had been extended a lot when his cultivation reached the Deshang stage. It could be said that he was now in the prime of his life. If there was no accident, he would not give up the throne within 100 years. Okay then. Zhao Xingyue took Qin Haodong's arm again, and said with a face full of hope. What about us? When will you come back to see me? Qin Haodong said. I don't know. I can only listen to the arrangement of God. He really did not know what the future would be like. Could he reopen the passage to the earth? Or would he stay in the Lingwu continent forever? Zhao Xingyue slept with Qin Haodong all night, but they just hugged and talked, and did not do anything else out of line. The next day, Qin Haodong met up with Tu Jiaojiao and the others, and then said goodbye to Zhao Xianlong. Zhao Xianlong was very happy to see off this mysterious young man, but Zhao Xingyue was extremely reluctant. She took Qin Haodong's hand and said, Brother Qin, you must remember to come back to see me. Don't worry, I will definitely come back. Qin Haodong kissed her gently on the forehead, and then left the capital with everyone. After leaving the city, everyone regained their flying ability, and flew in the direction of the Black Tortoise Institute. The Doomsday Forest was huge, and it lay between the Black Tortoise Imperial City and the Black Tortoise Institute. If they wanted to return to the Black Tortoise Institute, they had to go through the forest. They arrived at the edge of the Doomsday Forest in the evening. For safety reasons, they did not fly through the night, but chose to camp at the edge of the forest. Unlike last time, their group was getting smaller and smaller. Other than Qin Haodong, there were only 5 girls left. Tu Jiaojiao, Morong Jinghong, Yin Qianqian, the Little Witch and Feng Qiong'er. They were all trustworthy people, and they all knew the secret of the 7th stage pagoda. Therefore, Qin Haodong did not hide anything, and directly brought them to the 7th floor of the pagoda. The spiritual qi here was abundant, and it was suitable for cultivation. It was also safer than outside. After entering, the little witch giggled and said, Little brother, you did not bring us here to do something bad, did you? What's in your head? Qin Haodong knocked on the little witch's head, and then said, I did bring everyone here for something. Under the gaze of many pairs of beautiful eyes, he took out a small jade bottle and said, I have 5 dragon power elixirs here, 1 for each of you. Let's see if it can help you break through your current cultivation level. He had refined 9 dragon power elixirs last time, and he had taken 1 himself, and given 1 to Zhao Xianlong. Now there were 7 left. As a 7th stage elixir, the dragon power elixir was extremely valuable. However, these people in front of him were his closest friends, so he was not stingy. Chapter 952. As cultivators, Tu Jiaojiao and the others naturally knew how precious the dragon power elixir was. They immediately sat cross-legged and swallowed the elixir to improve their cultivation. The rich spiritual qi here was just right for cultivation advancement. About an hour later, Tu Jiaojiao, who had a deeper foundation, achieved a breakthrough first and reached the early stage of the form synthesis realm. She slowly opened her eyes with joy. After feeling her strength, she pulled Qin Haodong's arm and said, You helped me improve my cultivation. Aren't you afraid of losing to me in the North-South competition? You know, I'm your opponent in the competition. Qin Haodong smiled and said, The competition is just a formality. Opponents are temporary, but friends are lifelong. Besides, even if you improve your cultivation, you can't beat me. Then he took out a big essence culturing elixir and 3 small essence culturing elixirs. After explaining how to use them, he said, "Take this. It can save your life at a critical moment." The big essence culturing elixir can improve your cultivation from the artifact refining realm to the form synthesis realm. But the peak of the form synthesis realm is its limit. It can't break through the bottleneck of the Mahayana realm. Also, after using it, you will be weakened for a few hours. Try not to use it unless you have to. This is very rare. Thank you very much. After putting away the elixir, Tu Jiao pulled Qin Haodong and said, "You've given me such a precious thing. How about I give it to you as compensation?" Looking at her affectionate eyes, Qin Haodong quickly waved his hand and said, "No need. Our friendship is 100 times more precious than the elixir." Tu Jiao rolled her eyes at him and said, "Look at how scared you are. Am I not beautiful?" Qin Haodong looked embarrassed and didn't know how to explain for a moment. Fortunately, Morong Jinghong had also completed his breakthrough and stood up from the ground. After eating the dragon power elixir, they all gained a lot. Tu Jiao and Morong Jinghong both reached the early stage of the form synthesis realm, while Yin Qianqian and Fang Qiong reached the peak of the void training realm. Only the little she-devil's cultivation remained unchanged. Seeing that their cultivation was getting stronger, she stood up angrily and said, "It's strange. Why can you improve your cultivation after eating the elixir? But it's like jelly beans for me. It's useless. No, it's not as good as jelly beans." Ever since her Holy Spirit body had awakened, her cultivation had stagnated. This made the little she-devil extremely depressed. Qin Haodong said, "Don't worry. I'll find a way in the future." The little demoness pouted and said, "What can I do? In any case, I will rely on you in the future. My cultivation is low, so you have to protect me." The few of them rested for a night in the level 7 pagoda and flew across the Doomsday Forest the next morning. On the evening of the 3rd day, they returned to Black Tortoise Institution. Tu Jiao said goodbye to them and went back to the south courtyard. Qin Haodong, Morong Jinghong, and the others went back to his dormitory. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Luo Dongqing sitting in their yard, leisurely drinking a bottle of Maotai. After not seeing her grandpa for a long time, the little she-devil immediately threw herself at him. She hugged his neck and said, "Old man, how did you know we would come back today?" Luo Dongqing said, "Not only do I know that you two are back today, I also know that that kid has found a prince consort in Black Tortoise Kingdom." Little demoness grabbed Luo Dongqing's beard and said, "Old man, so you've been following us for the past few days. Let go, you little girl, let go of me now." Luo Dongqing managed to save his beard with great difficulty and said, "You are the future hope of the academy. How can we old guys be at ease when you go out to gain experience? So we've been following you." Little demoness said unforgivingly, "Well, old man, so you've been following us. Then why didn't you come out to help us when we were wronged?" Luo Dongqing said, "I'm only responsible for protecting your safety, not being your fighter. Unless it's a life or death situation, I naturally won't help you." After saying that, he picked up the bottle and took a sip. Then he said to Qin Haodong, "But you've really exceeded my expectations. You even managed to deal with Chang Suncheng. You should know that guy's cultivation is at the Mahayana stage. Even I'm no match for him. I just used a little trick. It's nothing much." Qin Haodong sat opposite Luo Dongqing. He was very grateful for the old man's secret protection along the way. He took out a box of sword Nanchun from his ring and threw it over. "This is my protection fee for you. Good boy, I like this." Luo Dongqing took the wine with a smile and quickly put it into his storage ring, as if he was afraid that someone would take it away. However, he said to Qin Haodong with a smile, "Boy, I heard that Zhao Xianlong was able to break through to the Mahayana stage because of your pills. Do you have any more? Give me one too. Here you go." Although there were only 2 dragon power pills left, Qin Haodong still threw one to Luo Dongqing without hesitation. "Good boy, you're a good friend. It's not in vain for me to give my granddaughter to you." Luo Dongqing took the dragon power pill happily and said, I'll leave first and go into seclusion immediately. I'll go see the old woman after I break through, and let her look at me in a new light." After saying that, he instantly disappeared, and went to find a place to go into seclusion. After Luo Dongqing left, little Demonis said to Morong Jinghong and the other two, Sister Xingyue has left. Why don't you all stay with me and little brother tonight?" Qin Haodong was speechless. It seemed that this little girl still wanted to stay with him. When would he be able to sleep on the floor? Morong Jinghong blushed and said, "I've been away for so long. I should go back and have a look." After saying that, she turned around and ran out. Fang Qiong'er said, "I also have to go back to the Pharmacist Union to see if there's anything going on there." Yin Qianqian said, "I haven't seen my brother for a long time. I'll go and see Yunxiang." In the blink of an eye, the three girls left. "You're so mean." Little Demonis pouted and took Qin Haodong's arm. She said, "Little brother, let's go to sleep." Qin Haodong was speechless. The word sleep in Huaxia had a very rich meaning. Sometimes it could be used as a verb. They went back to the bedroom. Qin Haodong originally wanted to sleep on the floor, but little Demonis pulled him to the bed. "Little brother, this bed is big enough. Let's sleep together." Qin Haodong glanced at little Demonis' bulging chest and said, This is not good. What's wrong with it? Didn't you sleep with Sister Xingyue the night before yesterday?" Little Demonis hugged Qin Haodong's arm tightly. Her bulging chest gave his arm an amazing elasticity. In the moonlight, a sly smile appeared on her face. "Little brother, tell me, did you really do nothing with Sister Xingyue that night? Why was this little girl suddenly interested in this kind of thing?" Qin Haodong said, "I really didn't do anything." "You didn't do anything with a beauty like Sister Xingyue. Little brother, tell me the truth. Is there something wrong with you in that area?" How is that possible? I'm very healthy." The little she-devil whispered into his ear. "Why don't I believe you? Why don't you prove it to me?" This little girl was so torturous. Wasn't she seducing him? After leaving Earth for so long, he had never been close to a woman. At this time, a flame suddenly rose from his lower abdomen. But at this moment, he was surprised to find that a black shadow suddenly appeared in front of their bed. It was so scary. Qin Haodong was just about to jump up from the bed when he felt a numbness in his chest. His acupoints had been sealed. Little Demonis was also shocked. After seeing the person's appearance, she said discontentedly, "Grandma, what are you doing? You come and go like a ghost. It's so scary, you know?" The person who came was Luo Dongqing's wife and little Demonis' grandmother, Ouyang Lan. Qin Haodong also recognized this perverted old lady. He didn't know why she suddenly came here, but in the face of a master in the Desheng stage, he really had no ability to resist. "Useless girl, I'll deal with you later." Ouyang Lan snorted coldly. She grabbed little Demonis with one hand and Qin Haodong with the other, walked out of the bedroom, and flew to the back mountain. 10 minutes later, Qin Haodong appeared in the bamboo building again. The familiar room and the familiar smell made him even more nervous. After entering the door, little Demonis said discontentedly, "Grandma, what are you doing? Hurry up and let me and little brother go." Ouyang Lan let her go, but did not release Qin Haodong's acupoints. Little Demonis moved her limbs and said anxiously, "Grandma, what are you doing? Hurry up and let go of little brother." "Girl, tell Grandma, do you like this guy?" Little Demonis glanced at Qin Haodong and nodded shyly. "You're so useless. If you like him, why don't you get him? Since you can't do it yourself, Grandma will help you today." Ouyang Lan turned back to Qin Haodong and said, "Boy, how dare you lie to me? What do you think I should do with you?" Qin Haodong said, "Grandma, when did I lie to you?" Ouyang Lan said, "Last time you told me that you liked men, but you turned around and went to the Black Tortoise Kingdom to find a husband. Isn't that a lie?" Qin Haodong smiled embarrassedly. "Grandma, I'm sorry. I was joking with you last time." Little Demonis said to her, "Yes, Grandma, little brother was joking with you. You useless girl, shut up." Ouyang Lan scolded little Demonis and turned back to Qin Haodong and said, "I'll give you two choices now. First, I'll cut you now so that you won't be able to like a woman for the rest of your life." Qin Haodong was so scared that he trembled all over. This old woman was crazy. Maybe she would really do such a thing. He still had a lot of women on earth, so he couldn't run back as a eunuch. He quickly said, "What's the second choice? Tell me quickly." Ouyang Lan said expressionlessly, "The second choice is to marry my granddaughter and enter the bridal chamber now." Little Demoness' cheeks turned red. She cried, "Grandma, what are you talking about? I'm not ready yet. By the time you think about it, this man will have been taken away." Ouyang Lan said to Qin Haodong, "Tell me, which one do you choose?" Qin Haodong said with a wry smile, "Can I choose neither? Boy, if you dare not choose my excellent granddaughter, then I'll acquiesce that you choose the first one." A cold light flashed in Ouyang Lan's hand, and a sharp dagger appeared in her palm. She looked at Qin Haodong's eyes. She looked at Qin Haodong's 2 legs. "No, please don't. I choose the second one." Qin Haodong hurriedly shouted. This old lady was a master of the Dasheng stage, and her hands were as fast as lightning. If she really went crazy and cut him, it would be too late to regret. "But you said it." Ouyang Lan put away the dagger and said, "Since you've chosen, let's enter the bridal chamber now." Chapter 953. The little she-devil cried anxiously, "Grandma, what are you doing? I'm still young." "What are you talking about? When I was your age, I was already married to your grandfather." Ouyang Lan grabbed the little she-devil with one hand and Qin Haodong with the other. Then she took them to the second floor of the bamboo building. Qin Haodong was a little dumbfounded when he arrived here. The room was lit with red candles, and the window was pasted with a big red happiness character. It looked like a new house. It turned out that the perverted old lady had prepared everything. Ouyang Lan pushed open the door of a bedroom. The interior was decorated in red, and the bed was covered with a red wedding blanket. She put Qin Haodong down and said, "You don't have parents, so you don't have to bow to heaven and earth. Let's go straight to the bridal room." The little she-devil curled her lips and said, "Grandma, how can you force someone to enter the bridal chamber?" Ouyang Lan said, "You have the nerve to say that. If it weren't for you being so useless, I wouldn't have helped you." Qin Haodong said, "Grandma, since it's like this, shouldn't you leave? You can't possibly watch us enter the bridal chamber, right?" He thought that as long as this perverted old lady wasn't watching him, he could still think of other ways. Ouyang Lan's face darkened. "Don't think that old mistress doesn't know what you're thinking. Let me tell you, if I catch you one more time, you can forget about being the Black Tortoise Kingdom's prince consort and become a eunuch." Qin Haodong suddenly felt a cold breath from his legs. Legit seemed that today's matter was really not easy to handle. Once the old lady found a flaw, the consequences would be unimaginable. However, he did not understand how the old lady would supervise him entering the bridal chamber. Just as he was thinking, Ouyang Lan said, "Now listen to me, go to bed immediately." Qin Haodong felt like a scholar who couldn't reason with a soldier, but he had no other way since he was not strong enough. He could only obediently lie on the bed according to the old lady's instructions and cover himself with the red quilt. "Take off all your clothes and throw them out. Don't leave a single one behind." Qin Haodong was speechless, but when he saw Ouyang Lan's cold eyes, he could only follow her orders since he didn't want to be a eunuch in the palace. Hiding under the quilt, he took off his coat, then his underwear. Although there was a blanket covering him, it still felt weird to undress in front of an old lady. There was no other expression on Ouyang Lan's face. She said again, "What else?" Qin Haodong had no choice but to throw out the last pair of underwear. He had nothing but a quilt on him. Ouyang Lan turned her head and looked at the little demoness. "Girl, get on the bed. It's your turn." Although the little she-devil was devilish, she was far from being as abnormal as her grandmother. She said with embarrassment, "Grandma, how can I do that?" Ouyang Lan said, "Do you like this man?" "Aye." Although the little demoness was shy, she still nodded. Ouyang Lan said, "Since you like it, then hurry up and get things done. Go to bed quickly." Seeing that the little demoness was still a little hesitant, she said again, "If you continue to dawdle like this, I'll take it that you don't like this man at all, and I'll just cut him up directly." Qin Haodong felt that 10,000 alpacas were running through his heart. He kept shouting in his mind, "Pervert, she's really too perverted." He didn't know what kind of experience this old lady had to have formed such a strange character. In short, ordinary people couldn't do such a thing. It wasn't that he didn't think of hiding in the 7-story pagoda, but he finally gave up the idea after hesitating for a moment. If he really did that, even if he could hide from this old lady, he was afraid that he would not be able to stay in Black Tortoise Academy in the future. Moreover, with how perverted this old lady was, once they met next time, he was afraid that she would cut him up without saying anything. The risk was too great. In contrast, he could only comply. It was just entering the bridal chamber. It wasn't like he hadn't done it before. The little demoness had no choice but to climb onto the bed and cover herself with the quilt. Then, she threw out her clothes one by one until she was naked. "Don't play any tricks on me," Ouyang said, turned around and walked out of the room, leaving only the two of them lying on the bed. Qin Haodong and the little demoness looked at each other. They both knew each other's current situation and couldn't help blushing. After a moment of silence, the little demoness said, "Brother Qin, why don't we put on our clothes now? My grandmother is gone anyway." Qin Haodong said with a wry smile, "I guess your grandmother is outside. What do you think the consequences will be if she finds out?" The little demoness said awkwardly, "Brother, I'm sorry. My grandmother is such a person." Qin Haodong said, "Actually, I admire your grandfather the most now. What kind of courage did he have to marry your grandmother back then?" The little demoness said, "My grandmother wasn't like this before. It was only after my parents had an accident more than 10 years ago that her character slowly became strange." Only then did Qin Haodong realize that he had never heard of the little demoness' parents. He asked, "What happened to your parents?" The little demoness said gloomily, "I don't know the specific situation. I didn't dare to mention it in front of my grandmother. I just heard from my grandfather that they seemed to have died when they went out to practice. Later, my grandfather died, so I became my grandmother's only family and spiritual sustenance. As long as I want something, she will definitely find a way to help me get it." Hearing her words, Qin Haodong also felt that the old lady was a little pitiful. The little demoness looked up at Qin Haodong and said, "Brother Qin, do you like me?" Qin Haodong really liked this straightforward girl, who liked to play tricks from time to time. In particular, the little demoness' lowly appearance and sexy figure would be a great temptation to every man, and he was no exception. He nodded and said, "I do. I like you too." Although the first confession was a little shy, the little demoness still looked at Qin Haodong bravely and said, "Brother, how about we do as my grandmother says?" Qin Haodong said, "But I already have a girlfriend. I'm afraid you will be wronged." The little demoness said, "There's nothing to be wronged about. You came from the mountains and may not understand the customs of the Lingwu continent. Here, the more women there are, the more capable a man is. Only a charming man can attract the attention of countless women. This is really a good place." Qin Haodong sighed inwardly, and then held the little demoness in his arms. There was no longer any barrier between their bodies. Outside the room, Ouyang went downstairs and sat in the room on the first floor drinking tea. At this time, Luo Dongqing ran in from outside excitedly. "Old woman, I'm back." Ouyang put down the teacup, glanced at him and said, "It's so late. Where have you been?" "Old woman, don't think too much. I just broke through in seclusion. I'll show you my current cultivation." As he spoke, his momentum suddenly rose and had reached the early stage of the great vehicle realm. Ouyang expression changed and she asked, "You've been stuck at this threshold for 20 years. I didn't expect you to really cross it." Luo Dongqing said, "If I only relied on my own efforts, I'm afraid I would have to wait for a while. I just met the little guy surnamed Qin. He gave me an extremely rare dragon power pill. So I broke through to the great vehicle realm in one fell swoop. This guy is really our benefactor. I'll go and thank him tomorrow." Ouyang said, "You don't have to go." Luo Dongqing said in surprise, "Old woman, you're wrong. He's done us such a big favor. We should thank him." "It's not that you don't want to thank him, but you don't have to go. He's upstairs." Upstairs. Luo Dongqing asked with a strange expression. When did this guy come to our house? I just caught him. Ouyang Lan said and told her about how she forced Qin Haodong and the little demoness back to the bridal chamber. Luo Dongqing said, a melon won't be sweet by force. Aren't you making trouble? Ouyang Lan said, I don't care. I know my granddaughter likes him. As long as my granddaughter likes it, I will help her get it. This is a big deal. It's not like other things. It's not something you can grab. Luo Dongqing said anxiously. I'll go up and have a look. Then he was about to go upstairs. Ouyang Lan said, stop. Don't go. Luo Dongqing was really used to being afraid of his wife. He really didn't dare to go up without Ouyang Lan's permission. He rolled his eyes and said, Old woman, I know that guy surnamed Qin better than you. That guy has a lot of ideas. If we don't go up and have a look, I don't know what he will do. Ouyang Lan thought for a moment and said, well, let's go up together. After that, the two of them walked upstairs together. In the bedroom, Qin Haodong turned over and pressed the little demoness under his body. Now that the psychological burden had been lifted, a flame in his body suddenly burned while holding such a great beauty. The little demoness stretched out her two white lotus-like arms and held Qin Haodong's neck tightly. She whispered, little brother, I'm ready. But at this moment, she suddenly felt her head sink, and then she lost consciousness. Her arms slipped from Qin Haodong's neck. What's going on? As a doctor, Qin Haodong keenly felt her changes. The flame in his body was instantly extinguished, as if it had encountered cold water. He quickly reached out and grabbed the little demoness' wrist and began to feel her pulse. The strange thing was that her pulse was extremely stable, and there was nothing unusual. It was exactly as if she was asleep. However, it was impossible for anyone to fall asleep in such a situation. There must be something strange going on. Hongying, wake up! Wake up! He called and patted Luo Hongying's cheek, but there was still no response. He pointed at the little demoness Renzhong acupoint with his finger and slowly passed the greenwood genuine qi to her. The result was still the same. She was still asleep. What's going on? Qin Haodong checked the little demoness from head to toe with his spirit again, but still found nothing unusual. He had no choice but to pull the quilt to cover the little demoness. Then he put on his clothes and went out. Such a big thing had happened. He had to inform Ouyang Lan. As soon as he went out, he saw Ouyang Lan and Luo Dongqing coming up from downstairs. What are you doing? Want to run? Ouyang Lan said with a cold face. Grandma, something happened to Hongying. Qin Haodong said in a hurry. What? What happened to my granddaughter? Luo Dongqing and Ouyang Lan said in unison. I don't know. You'll know when you see it. Yuan Haodong said as he opened the door and let them in. Chapter 954. Hearing that something had happened to their granddaughter, the old man and the old lady immediately rushed to the bed. They were relieved when they saw the ruddy little girl. Qin Haodong said, I've checked her. There's nothing wrong with her body, but she's in a deep sleep and can't wake up. Luo Dongqing carefully checked the little girl's state and said, Don't worry, it's a good thing. Qin Haodong asked in surprise. What do you mean? Hongying is in a deep sleep, Luo Dongqing said. When her Holy Spirit body was awakened, she suddenly fell into a deep sleep and woke up a week later. She successfully opened the living gate and became a summoner. Qin Haodong asked, Do you mean that her deep sleep has something to do with the awakening of the Holy Spirit body? Luo Dongqing said, It's true. After this girl became a summoner, her cultivation couldn't be improved. Her grandmother, and I also read a lot of classic books. The final conclusion was that her Holy Spirit body was not fully awakened, and she needed to undergo a second awakening. As long as her Holy Spirit body could be fully awakened, not only would she become an excellent summoner, but her cultivation would also be greatly improved. It's a pity that after a few years, this girl showed no signs of awakening. I didn't expect that she would enter the state of awakening at this time. It seems that you have brought a lot of changes to her. After listening to the old man's words, Qin Haodong's worried heart was relieved. In this way, sleeping was not a bad thing for the little witch. On the contrary, It was a blessing in disguise. But now things had come to this. It was impossible to enter the bridal chamber. Oyinglan waved her hand and drove them out of the room. She stayed to take care of her granddaughter. They went downstairs. Luo Dongqing asked Qin Haodong to sit down and said, "Little guy, my old lady has such a temper. Don't mind her." "It's nothing," Qin Haodong said. "How long will Hongying sleep in such a situation?" Luo Dongqing said, "It's hard to say. The Holy Spirit body is extremely rare, and there are even fewer records left. She slept for 7 days last time. I don't know how long she will sleep this time." Qin Haodong said, "Well, I'll go back first." Luo Dongqing said, "After you go back, prepare well. The competition between the North and South Academies will begin the day after tomorrow. This time, you must make our North Academy proud." Qin Haodong said, "This time, the students of our academy have made great progress. We should be able to get a good result." Luo Dongqing said, "That's right. Our academy suffered great losses during the training at the 7th stage pagoda, but we also gained a lot. This time, the North-South Academy had lost more than 10 outstanding students, including Yu Wanjian, Xiao Yulong, and Xuepan. However, for Black Tortoise Academy, survival of the fittest was a very common thing, so it did not cause too much of a stir. This was especially true for Yu Wanjian and the others, who had severely violated the academy's rules. Even if they didn't die, they would be expelled from the academy. After lamenting for a while, he continued, "However, the academy has decided to change the rules of the North-South College tournament a lot. This year, we will introduce the competition mode of the Battle of Kings." Qin Haodong asked in surprise, "What do you mean? What is a battle between kings?" Luo Dongqing said, "According to the previous competition mode, the North-South College and the North-South College will each select 10 outstanding students to compete, and the top 10 students will have the opportunity to enter the Black Tortoise Spirit Spring to cultivate. This time there are no changes. The North-South College and the North-South College will still send 10 students each, but the competition mode is very different from the past. Both sides will send their students to compete, and the losing side will be replaced by another student, while the winning side will have to fight continuously until they are defeated. When all 10 students had finished competing, the one who obtained the final victory, the one who had the last laugh, would be the king of this competition. As a reward, the winning king will have the right to enter the Black Tortoise Spirit Spring directly, and at the same time, decide the quota of the other 9 students. Qin Haodong nodded. This competition mode was much more exciting than the previous freshman tournament. He asked, "Will there be a flaw in this competition mode? If the North-South College students win in the end, will the 10 students from the North-South College be allowed to enter the Black Tortoise Spirit Spring? Will the South-South College still have a chance? Similarly, if the South-South College wins, it will be the same." Luo Dongqing said, "This will depend on the bearing of the final king. Our college is not training an ordinary cultivator, but a king with the heart of the world. If the winner really does that, it can only mean that he only has the cultivation level, but not the bearing of a king." Qin Haodong said, "Have the 10 students from our college been decided?" Luo Dongqing said, "The final quota has not been decided yet, but the group of you who came back from the Black Tortoise Kingdom is bound to participate. It's a pity that Hongying missed this opportunity." After Qin Haodong learned about the competition, he said goodbye to Luo Dongqing and returned to his dormitory. The next night, he came to check on the little she-devil. She was still in a deep sleep, and there was no sign of her waking up. However, her physical condition seemed to be very stable, so he was not worried. On the morning of the 3rd day, Luo Dongqing appeared in Qin Haodong's dormitory, followed by 9 students. Other than Morong Jinghong, Fang Qiong'er, Yin Qianqian, and Song Junyu, the other 5 were new faces. They should be the new blood. Behind Morong Jinghong was a tall young man with an arrogant look on his face. His cultivation level had reached the late stage of void refinement. The ranking of the top 10 experts was decided after the freshman competition last year. This person did not make it into the top 10, so his cultivation level was at most in the late stage of void refinement. It was extremely rare for an ordinary person to advance 2 levels in a year. This should be what made him proud. This person had been following behind Morong Jinghong, and his eyes were constantly flashing with a strange light. Luo Dongqing gathered the 10 students together and said, "The North-South College competition is about to begin, and the 10 of you will represent our college in the competition. Maybe you are not familiar with each other, so introduce yourselves first. Qin Haodong, we'll start with you." Everyone introduced themselves one by one, and it was the young man's turn. He said arrogantly, "My name is Wang Zhiliang. Although I did not participate in the North-South College competition last year, my goal this year is to get second place." After saying that, he glanced at Morong Jinghong, implying that if Morong Jinghong was first, he would be second. Obviously, he did not care about the others. After the introduction, Luo Dongqing said again, "Everyone, the format of this year's North-South College competition has changed. It will be the Battle of the Kings." He explained the rules of the competition in detail, and finally said, "In the previous 5 years, the Northern College competition has always been defeated by the Southern College. This year, I hope that the king will appear in our team. Don't worry, Dean. The Northern College will win." Everyone's confidence soared, and their morale soared, especially Morong Jinghong, Yin Qianqian, and the other students who had participated in the 7th stage pagoda training were naturally full of confidence after their cultivation levels had improved, especially with a super trump card like Qin Haodong backing them up. Luo Dongqing nodded in satisfaction and said, "The Battle of the Kings not only tests the strength of each student, but also our ability to cooperate as a whole. Therefore, I appoint Qin Haodong as the captain of the Northern College. He will be in charge of the arrangements and decide the order of everyone's battle. I hope everyone can cooperate." After hearing this decision, the expressions of the team members were divided into 2 camps. Morong Jinghong, Fang Qiong Yin Qianqian, and the others felt that it was only natural. They had seen Qin Haodong's strength with their own eyes, and he deserved to be the captain. On the other hand, Song Junyu and the other 5 new members were stunned. Obviously, they were surprised by this decision and were extremely dissatisfied. Wang Zhiliang took the lead and said, "Dean, I think the captain should be strong enough. Although Qin Haodong is the champion of this year's freshman competition, he is still a freshman and doesn't represent anything. I don't think his strength is enough to be the captain." He had also watched the freshman competition. At that time, Qin Haodong's cultivation level was only at the early stage of the void refinement realm. Of course, this kind of strength was not enough to convince him. Luo Dongqing was not surprised by this result. He smiled and said, "Then, who do you think is more suitable to be the captain?" "You. Although I am very strong, I am still lacking a little." Wang Zhiliang looked at Morong Jinghong and said, "I think Fairy Morong should be the captain of our team." Song Junyu followed up and said, "That's right, I think so too. Senior sister Morong is the strongest among us." After the 2 of them finished speaking, the other 4 members nodded repeatedly. Luo Dongqing smiled and said, "Morong Jinghong, everyone has elected you to be the captain. Tell us what you think." Wang Zhiliang said with a flattering expression, "That's right, senior sister Morong. We will only be convinced if you are the captain." Morong Jinghong said, "Only the strongest is suitable to be the captain. My strength is not as good as Qin Haodong's, so he is the best candidate to be the captain." "What?" Wang Zhiliang, Song Junyu, and the others were dumbfounded. They were very clear about Morong Jinghong's strength. He was fully deserving of being the first in the northern campus. Since when was he willing to submit to someone else? Could it be that Qin Haodong was really that strong? Morong Jinghong looked around with a cold gaze and said, "Is there anyone who is not convinced by my words? If you are not convinced, you can have a match with me. Only if you win will you be qualified to challenge junior brother Qin." Under her strong momentum, the others chose to lower their heads without any surprise and no longer objected. The smile on Luo Dongqing's face disappeared, and she said with a serious expression, "Since no one has any objections, this matter is settled. Qin Haodong is our captain, so everyone must obey his arrangements." If anyone dares to disobey, he will be directly disqualified. Yes, everyone agreed in unison, but Wang Zhiliang was not convinced. In his opinion, the reason why Qin Haodong could be the captain was entirely because of his connections. Luo Dongqing said, "Everything is ready. Let's go now." After that, she took everyone to the martial arts arena of the northern campus. According to the rules of the North-South competition, the venue was changed, and it was the northern campus's turn. When they arrived, thousands of students had gathered in the arena, looking forward to watching the annual competition. An arena of dozens of square meters was built in the middle of the arena. This arena was strengthened by a formation to withstand all attacks below the Mahayana stage. Luo Dongqing handed over all the matters of the competition to Qin Haodong, and then went to the stand next to her. Ouyang Lan, the deputy dean of the southern campus, was already waiting there. After everyone was present, Ouyang Lan said to the audience, "I officially announce that the competition officially begins." Chapter 955. At Ouyang Lan's command, Hai Jingming, the vice president of the Northern College, jumped onto the arena to be the referee for today's match. In terms of the format of the Battle of Kings, the referee's main purpose was to ensure the safety of both teams. As for the outcome, whoever was still standing on the arena would be the winner. Qin Haodong led the 10 students of the Northern College to the preparation area. On the other side of the spectator stand, Tu Jiaojiao, the captain of the Southern College, also walked in with her students. Although they were on opposite sides of the arena and were far away from each other, cultivators had excellent eyesight. The two of them nodded at each other from a distance. At this moment, Qin Haodong was suddenly startled. His gaze fell on a man beside Tu Jiaojiao. It was Yuan Jian. But Yuan Jian had clearly died in the 7th stage pagoda, torn to pieces by the Cerberus summoned by the little she-devil. Why was he suddenly participating in the match? He asked Morong Jinghong, who was beside him. "Is that Yuan Jian?" "That's not Yuan Jian, but Yuan Jian's twin brother Yuanren," Morong Jinghong said. Yuan Jian and Yuanren are both outstanding students of the Southern College. Yuanren was in seclusion at home this time, and did not participate in the 7th stage pagoda trial. Qin Haodong nodded, finally understanding what was going on. At this moment, Yuanren also saw Qin Haodong and the others and strode over. "You're Qin Haodong?" Qin Haodong nodded. "That's me. Did you kill my big brother?" Qin Haodong said, "Your big brother brought it upon himself. He was courting death." He did not explain what had happened. Even if he had not fainted, he would have killed Yuan Jian with his own hands. "Then it was you who killed him." Yuanren's eyes were like those of a wild beast. He said, "Not only will I become the king of the Black Tortoise Institution in today's match, but I will also avenge my big brother." Qin Haodong said indifferently, "Up to you. As long as you have the ability. See you in the arena." Yuanren turned around and returned to the Southern College team. Morong Jinghong said, "You mustn't underestimate this person. The reason why Yuan Jian is known as the #1 of the South Campus is because Yuanren admitted defeat in their battle. Some people speculate that Yuanren's true strength is above Yuan Jian's." Qin Haodong nodded, but he didn't take him seriously. At this moment Hai Jingming, who was in the arena, said, "The competition has begun. Both North and South Academies, please send out your contestants." Qin Haodong looked at his teammates and said to Song Junyu, "Senior Song, I'll leave the first battle to you." For this special competition format, there wasn't much technical content in the beginning. Everyone used members with lower cultivation to exhaust the strength of their opponents. The members who had a chance of winning the title of king would naturally be left to the back. After all, no matter how strong they were, they would not be able to win 10 matches in a row. What they needed to worry about were the last few people to fight. If they fought too early, their opponents would consume too much of their strength, and they might not be able to reach the end. However, if he was too late, and his companions managed to take down all of the opposing team's members, then the title of king would not be his. According to this logic, the two people who could win the title of king would definitely be the last two students. Song Junyu's face immediately sank. Although she didn't expect to be the king of today's competition, she also didn't expect that she would be the first to fight. Because the earlier she fought, the more she could prove that she was just cannon fodder, paving the way for her companions. However, Luo Dongqing had already told her that if she didn't listen to the captain's arrangement, she would be automatically disqualified. So although she was extremely dissatisfied, she could only walk to the arena with a livid face. A freshman who just entered the academy dares to use me as cannon fodder. I'll show you my strength later. Song Junyu secretly swore. At this time, the best way to prove herself was to win. As long as she won a few matches in a row, it would be equivalent to slapping Qin Haodong in the face. After she went to the arena, the South Academy also sent a male student named Gao Qi. Morong Jinghong stood side by side with Qin Haodong and said in a low voice, "What do you think? Can Song Junyu win the first match?" Qin Haodong shook his head and said, "We lost this match." He had already clearly seen Gao Qi's cultivation. The late stage of the void refinement realm was one level higher than Song Junyu, who was in the mid-stage of the void refinement realm. Tu Jiaojiao had sent such a tyrannical member at the beginning. It seemed that the South Academy attached great importance to the first match and wanted to gain the upper hand with a show of strength. However, in this kind of competition, it didn't matter whether the first match was won or not, and it didn't matter how many matches they won in a row. What was important was who would laugh in the end. In the arena, Hai Jingming said to the two people, "I'll announce the rules of the competition. First, this is a competition within the academy, not a fight to the death. You must show mercy. If you cause your opponent's death, you will be disqualified. Second, except for summoners, you are not allowed to use magical beasts to fight." After hearing this rule, Morong Jinghong said, "It seems that your three-legged golden toad won't be used." Qin Haodong smiled slightly. "It doesn't matter. I hope you can win the title of challenger." Morong Jinghong shook his head and said, "It's very difficult. Normally, I'm not a match for Sister Jiaojiao." Hai Jingming announced a few rules in succession and announced the start of the competition. Song Junyu had already gathered her strength and wanted to take down Gao Qi in one fell swoop. After hearing the word start, the long sword in her hand immediately turned into a graceful thrust. Gao Qi was extremely tall, but when he moved, he was extremely agile. He did not use any weapons. His body moved like a ghost and easily dodged the sword. At the same time, he broke through the protective circle of the long sword and arrived in front of Song Junyu. His fighting style was simple and violent. Before the long sword could be pulled back to defend, his two fists were like raindrops. Not only did they hit the face and chest, but they also completely sealed off all possible escape routes. Song Junyu's long sword had already been thrust out, and it was too late for her to pull back to defend. She had no choice but to quickly retreat, trying to get rid of Gao Qi's attack, and then reorganize her attack. However, Gao Qi did not give her the chance. His body was like a sharp arrow that had left the bow, and he followed her like a shadow, punching out with both fists. Both of them were experts in the void refinement realm, and their speed was extremely fast. Almost in the blink of an eye, Song Junyu's back hit the guardrail of the arena, and there was no way out. At the same time, Gao Qi's fist was also in front of her. In desperation, Song Junyu raised her left hand and also punched out. With a muffled bang, the two fists collided. Gao Qi's advantage in cultivation was obvious, and he knocked Song Junyu out of the arena with a single punch. Song Junyu landed on both feet. Although she did not suffer any serious internal injuries, her face was livid. She had wanted to show off her strength to prove herself, but she did not expect to be defeated in a single move. How could she put her face like this? The spectating students immediately became noisy. They did not expect the match to end as soon as it began. There was indeed a huge difference in strength. Morong Jinghong said, "The students of the southern campus are indeed very strong." The southern campus had suffered great losses in this trial in the 7th stage pagoda. Not only had they lost Yuan Jian, but they had also lost 8 other void refinement realm students. They had thought that their strength would be reduced, but they did not expect their performance to be so fierce as soon as the match began. Qin Haodong shook his head. Senior sister Song is indeed not as strong as her opponent, but if she had not been careless, she would not have lost so quickly. At this moment Hai Jingming, who was in the arena, said, "This round, Gao Qi of the southern campus has won. The northern campus will continue to send their students to the arena." "Senior, I'll have to trouble you." Qin Haodong sent another student to the arena to fight. However, Gao Qi was indeed fierce. His cultivation was profound, and his fighting style was swift and fierce. The student was only able to withstand 10 moves before he was thrown off the arena. Then the third, fourth, and fifth students. In less than half an hour, the northern campus had lost 5 consecutive matches, all at the hands of Gao Qi. What is the northern campus doing? Aren't they too weak? Did you see that? This is the strength of the southern campus. The northern campus does not even have the ability to fight back. If this continues, Senior Gao Qi will be able to win the final match alone. After losing 5 consecutive matches, the spectating students of the southern campus were all in an uproar. The northern campus was like a frosted eggplant, and there was not even a sound of cheering. On the spectator stand, Ouyang Lan said to Luo Dongqing, "Old man, your cultivation has improved a lot, but your students don't seem to be able to do so. They seem to be losing more miserably than every year." Luo Dongqing did not care. "Old woman, it's too early for you to be happy. Our grandson-in-law is not that easy to deal with. I have a feeling that you will definitely lose this year." Ouyang Lan said disdainfully, "Dead duck, you are so stubborn. You have already lost to this extent, but you are still stubborn." On the reserve seats, Wang Zhiliang said with dissatisfaction, "Qin Haodong, how did you arrange your team? You have lost 5 matches in a row." "Don't worry, it will be fine if we lose one more match." Qin Haodong smiled at him. "You go this time." I'll go. Wang Zhiliang had been observing the team for a long time, and he had seen most of Gao Qi's cultivation methods. Both of them were in the late stage of void training. Gao Qi had fought 5 matches in a row, and although he had won all of them, he had expended a lot of energy, so he was certain that he would win this match. However, after taking a few steps, he suddenly realized that something was wrong. "You want me to go, so let me go, but you want me to lose another match? Aren't you cursing me? Damn it, I'll show you my strength today." He rushed into the ring angrily. As soon as the match began, he punched Gao Qi's chest hard with his fists. Gao Qi did not back down. He also threw out a punch, and the 2 fists collided with a loud bang. Wang Zhiliang took 3 or 4 steps back, while Gao Qi took 7 or 8 steps back. The gap between their cultivation was revealed in this head-on collision. They were both in the late stage of void training, but Gao Qi had consumed a lot of energy. Wang Zhiliang did not stop after gaining the upper hand. After one move, he continued to attack Gao Qi in an overwhelming manner. For a moment, the situation on the field had changed dramatically. Gao Qi, who had been full of energy, was completely suppressed. After a dozen moves, he could only parry and could not fight back. Seeing this scene, the students of the Northern Academy, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly became excited and began to cheer for Wang Zhiliang. Fang Qionger said, "It seems that we can finally win a match." Qin Haodong said, "If Wang Zhiliang can control his arrogance, we can indeed win this match. But judging from the current situation, he can't win." Yin Qianqian said, "How is that possible? We have such a big advantage, and it is only a matter of time before we win." Qin Haodong said, "Gao Qi is more powerful than you think. Although he is at a disadvantage, it is definitely not as serious as it is now. It is all an act. Just watch, he will fight back soon." Chapter 956. While they were talking, the situation in the arena changed immediately. Gao Qi seemed to have used up too much energy. His fists were a little slow in defending, leaving his chest wide open. Wang Zhiliang was delighted. He seized the opportunity and punched hard. In his opinion, this would be the end of the battle. Gao Qi had already won 5 matches in a row. If he was the one to end his winning streak, it would definitely be something to be proud of. However, after he punched, he found that Gao Qi, who had been exhausted, suddenly burst out with speed twice as fast as before. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from where he was and reappeared behind him. Before Wang Zhiliang could react, Gao Qi kicked him in the butt and sent him flying off the arena. The audience was silent. The situation had changed so quickly that the spectating students could not come back to their senses for a while. Wang Zhiliang had the absolute upper hand a moment ago, but in the blink of an eye, the situation had changed 360 degrees. Some people did not even see clearly what had happened on the arena before Wang Zhiliang was defeated. After a pause, the audience burst into an uproar again. The happy ones were the students of the South Courtyard, who were constantly cheering. Wang Zhiliang got up from the ground with an awkward expression. If he had fought steadily and calmly, he would have definitely won the match. However, he was deceived by Gao Qi and lost the match. The North Courtyard had lost 6 matches in a row since the start of the competition, and was becoming more and more passive. What are you doing? Can you be any more useless? You've disgraced the North Courtyard. We've lost 6 matches in a row. We might as well just admit defeat and not embarrass ourselves there. Some of the North Courtyard students had completely lost their confidence. They shouted while watching, while the South Courtyard's morale was high. Yu Wanren looked at Qin Haodong and said with gritted teeth, "I didn't expect the North Courtyard to be so useless. Will this guy lose before I can even make a move?" Tu Jiaojia said, "You're overthinking it. We still don't see any hope of winning." Yu Wanren said, "How is that possible? We haven't lost a single match yet, and they only have 4 students left. In a battle like this, only 1 or 2 people will win," Tu Jiaojia said. "We sent out Gao Qi right at the start to gain the upper hand. The Northern College's response is more brilliant than we thought. They want to take the final victory in one go." Yu Wanren said coldly, "Absolutely not. This time, the title of king will definitely belong to me." Tu Jiaojia smiled and said, "Then I can only wish you good luck." Morong Jinghong couldn't hold it in any longer and said, "Haodong, how about I do it?" "It's not your turn yet." Qin Haodong stopped Morong Jinghong and said to Qiong, "You do it." "Alright, I'll definitely teach these people from the South Campus a lesson." After taking the Dragon Power Elixir, Fang Qiong'er's cultivation level had leaped to the peak void refinement state. She had been waiting for the right moment to go on stage. After receiving Qin Haodong's order, she tiptoed and jumped directly into the ring. "Begin!" Hai Jingming shouted, and the 7th match of the North-South Academy competition began. "I wonder if Senior Gao can create another miracle and win 7 rounds in a row. I think so. I know this woman. She was only at the middle stage void refinement state before. She's definitely no match for Senior Gao. The North Campus is too weak. It seems that this year's victory belongs to the South Campus again." Gao Qi was in a good mood after winning 6 rounds in a row. He was very proud of himself, and his confidence was boosted when he saw that his opponent was Fang Qiong. They were all old students of the Black Tortoise Institution and knew each other very well. In his opinion, Fang Qiong was only at the middle stage void refinement state and was no match for him at all. It seemed that he was destined to create a miracle of winning 7 rounds in a row. Thinking of this, he moved his feet and threw a punch at Fang Qiong'er's face. However, at this moment, a long and slender leg suddenly appeared in front of him. It was too fast. Gao Qi turned pale with fright. He didn't expect Fang Qiong to be so fast, and her kick carried a powerful aura. It was obvious that she had reached the peak void refinement state. "Oh my god, what the hell is going on?" In his shock, it was too late for him to dodge. Fang Qiong's kick landed heavily on his chest. Like a cannonball, Gao Qi was kicked off the arena without any strength to fight back. One move to kill. The students of the South Campus who were watching from below the arena were discussing their opinions. But before they could finish, Gao Qi had already landed in front of them. This is too fast, isn't it?" The result was beyond everyone's expectations. The students of the North Campus had finally won their first round. Cheers and shouts filled the arena. Ouyang Lan said, This little girl's cultivation is improving very quickly, Luo Dongqing said. This is all arranged by our grandson-in-law. The competition has just begun. Tu Jiaojiao had cultivated in the 7th stage pagoda with the others, so she was very clear about everyone's cultivation. So she was not surprised by this result. Not to mention that Gao Qi was already an arrow at the end of its flight. Even at his peak, he probably wouldn't be able to withstand Fang Qiong'er's kick. She waved her hand and let another student enter the arena. In the end, it was still one move, and the student was kicked off the arena in less than a minute. Then came the 3rd and 4th place. Fang Qiong'er stood alone in the arena and actually won 8 rounds in a row. On the South Campus's side, only Yu Wanren and Tu Jiaojiao had not fought yet. The other 8 had all been defeated. The spectating students were all dumbfounded. The plot had changed too quickly. Just a moment ago, the South Campus had completely gained the upper hand, but now it was showing signs of being trampled underfoot. Luo Dongqing said proudly, "What do you think, old woman? I've already let you win for 5 years. I definitely won't let you win again this year." Ouyinglan snorted and said, "What are you so proud of? The 2 most powerful people on our side haven't fought yet. It's still uncertain who will win in the end." Tu Jiaojiao said to Yu Wanren, "It's just the 2 of us left. You or me." "I'll do it," Yu Wanren said as he strode into the arena. He had his own considerations. He was very clear about Tu Jiaojiao's strength. If he was the last to fight, it would be troublesome if Tu Jiaojiao defeated all 4 people in front of her. Not only would he not get the title of king, but he would also lose the chance to avenge his brother. Therefore, he chose to enter the arena before Tu Jiaojiao. Yu Wanren had always considered himself to be the #1 expert of the South Campus. After entering the arena, he said arrogantly, "Don't waste time. Make your move." Just as Fang Qiong'er was about to make her move, Qin Haodong's voice sounded in her ears. Then she said without hesitation, "I admit defeat." She had defeated 8 opponents in a row, and had consumed a lot of her strength. Moreover, Qin Haodong had already seen through Yu Wanren's cultivation. Under such circumstances, she would only be humiliating herself if she made a move. After Fang Qiong'er left the arena, Yin Qianqian said, "Let me fight this round." Qin Haodong nodded and strode into the arena. Yu Wanren said proudly, "You're no match for me. Let that Qin brat come up." "How arrogant. Defeat me first." Yin Qianqian no longer held back. She slammed her palm toward Yu Wanren's chest. At the same time, the aura of the peak of the void refinement realm suddenly erupted. After feeling her aura, the crowd below the arena was shocked. They didn't expect that the North Campus would have 2 more students at the peak of the void refinement realm besides Morong Jinghong. Wang Zhizong was dumbfounded. He had thought that after breaking through to the peak of the void refinement realm, he was already one of the best in the academy, second only to Morong Jinghong. He didn't expect that the 2 girls next to him would be so much stronger than him. Song Junyu was even more shocked. She was an old student of the academy, and knew very well that Yin Qianqian and Fang Qiong'er's cultivation was similar to hers. How did they reach the peak of the void refinement realm in just a month? Could it be related to Qin Haodong? Ouyinglan said, "I didn't expect the strength of the North Campus to improve so quickly this year. There are actually so many people at the peak of the void refinement realm," Luo Dongqing said. "I don't know what this brat is doing either. He brought this group of girls to train, and the cultivation of the people around him has increased by leaps and bounds." In the arena, facing Yin Qianqian's palm strike, Yu Wanren snorted coldly and met it with his palm without backing down. With a loud bang, the palms collided. The fight between 2 experts at the peak of the void refinement realm immediately caused a gust of wind to sweep up in the arena, causing Hai Jingming's clothes to flutter. After the head-on collision, Yin Qianqian took 3 or 4 steps back, while Yu Wanren's body only swayed a little before he pounced on her again. It was obvious that Yu Wanren had an absolute advantage in terms of cultivation. The 2 of them exchanged more than 100 blows in a row. Finally, Yu Wanren's palm landed on Yin Qianqian's shoulder and knocked her off the arena. Although he had won, Yu Wanren's expression was more solemn than before. After all, there was still Morong Jinghong, who was even more powerful, and Qin Haodong, who was unfathomable. Qin Haodong went over to help Yin Qianqian up. "Are you okay?" Yin Qianqian shook her head and said, "It's nothing. It's just a superficial wound." Qin Haodong said, "I'll apply some ointment for you, and you'll be fine soon." After that, he asked Yin Qianqian to sit down and began to treat the injury on her shoulder. At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Morong Jinghong, especially the students of the Northern College. Jinghong Fairy was their goddess, and the publicly acknowledged #1 expert. Morong Jinghong glanced at Qin Haodong and nodded in acknowledgement before walking up the arena. She walked very slowly, as if she was taking a leisurely stroll. However, with every step she took, her aura grew stronger. By the time she arrived before Yu Wanren, her aura had fully erupted. She had clearly reached the early stage of the body integration realm. My goodness, Jinghong Fairy has already reached the early stage of the body integration realm. She's indeed the #1 expert of the Northern College. With Jinghong Fairy here, we'll definitely win today's match. My goddess is so powerful. It seems that Jinghong Fairy will be the champion this year. Yu Wanren looked at Morong Jinghong and said, "I didn't expect you to reach the threshold of the body integration realm after a year." Morong Jinghong said, "Why? Are you going to admit defeat?" "Admit defeat?" Yu Wanren smiled proudly. "You underestimate me. There's no such thing as admitting defeat when it comes to me. Why do you think I've been in seclusion all this time? You, Morong Jinghong, aren't the only ones who can reach the body integration realm. I can too. I originally wanted to surprise that Qin brat, but it seems like there's no need to hide anymore." After saying that, his aura suddenly surged and instantly broke through the Great Void Refinement realm and reached the early stage of the body integration realm. Seeing that the students on both sides had reached the early stage of the body integration realm, the audience was in an uproar. In the history of the Black Tortoise Academy, anyone who reached the Great Void Refinement realm could become the #1 expert. There had never been 2 body integration realm experts like today. Chapter 957. After completely unleashing his aura, Yu Wanren said to Morong Jinghong, "Draw your sword." Morong Jinghong shook his head. "I don't need to draw my sword against you." She did not choose to use the startling sword. This was an internal competition, not a life-and-death battle. Moreover, the startling sword was excessively sharp, and she would either die or be injured if she did not control it well. Secondly, she was proud. Since her opponent was unarmed, she did not want to take advantage of him in terms of weapons. Yu Wanren was overjoyed. Actually, he was just trying to goad Morong Jinghong into using the startling sword. Both of them had the same cultivation, so he would definitely be at a disadvantage if Morong Jinghong used the startling sword. Ice Soul Divine Fist. Morong Jinghong punched out, and the air in the arena seemed to have dropped by dozens of degrees. The spectating students near the arena could feel the biting cold wind. For a moment, a thin layer of ice formed on the ground. The powerful force swept up the snowflakes and abruptly swept towards Yu Wanren. This was the power of a body integration expert. Blazing Flame Fist. Yu Wanren let out a loud shout and threw a punch as well. The scorching wind from his fist stirred up streams of flames and clashed with Morong Jinghong's frigid cold energy. Clouds of white mist appeared and enveloped the entire arena. The Ice Soul Divine Fist and Blazing Flame Palm were both ordinary skills taught by the Black Tortoise Academy, but they were shockingly powerful when used by the two of them. After the two forces collided, a muffled bang was heard. Immediately after, a violent gust of wind blew away the mist, allowing the spectators to see the arena clearly again. Morong Jinghong and Yu Wanren were both in their original positions. They seemed to be evenly matched, but only they themselves knew who was stronger. Yu Wanren's expression became increasingly grim. He was at a disadvantage in the previous exchange. After a month of seclusion, he had broken through the bottleneck of the perfect void refinement realm and reached the early stage body integration realm through his own efforts. However, His method of breaking through was still slightly weaker than Morong Jinghong's. Morong Jinghong had consumed a dragon power pill, which possessed extremely powerful spiritual power. At the same time, he was cultivating on the 7th floor of the Buddha Pagoda, where the spiritual energy was much denser than outside. Therefore, under such circumstances, Morong Jinghong's cultivation was slightly higher than his, despite both of them having just broken through to the early-stage body integration realm. Following that, the two of them clashed once again. This was a battle where the two of them were the closest in terms of strength, and also had the highest cultivation. Therefore, it was extremely exciting to watch, causing the spectating students to exclaim in delight. Around them, the cheers grew louder and louder. The Northern College and Northern College had been competing against each other for so many years, and the Northern College had already lost 5 matches in a row. Today, the students of the Northern College finally saw hope for victory, so their emotions soared, and their cheers were earth-shattering. In the beginning, the two of them were evenly matched, but as time passed, Morong Jinghong's advantage in cultivation became more and more obvious, and he gradually gained the upper hand. After fighting for more than an hour, Morong Jinghong seized an opportunity and punched Yu Wanren in the chest. The punch of a form synthesis stage expert was so shockingly powerful that Yu Wanren was immediately sent flying out of the arena like a fired bullet. Fortunately, Morong Jinghong had not used his full strength in this match. This punch had only knocked him off the stage. Otherwise, even if he did not die, he would have been severely injured. Yu Wanren crawled up from the ground and looked at Morong Jinghong in the arena, then at Qin Haodong beside him. His eyes were filled with indignation. This defeat meant that he had lost the chance to win the title of king, and at the same time, he had lost the chance to defeat Qin Haodong. However, there was nothing he could do about it. Strength was strength, and Morong Jinghong's strength was slightly higher than his. Victory! Jinghong Ferry has finally won. Our Northern College has finally won. Long live Jinghong Ferry. The Northern College will definitely win. What's so great about that? Didn't you just win one match? Our most powerful senior sister Tu Jiaojiao hasn't even entered the arena yet. Below the arena, the students of the Northern and Southern College were engaged in a war of words, neither giving way to the other. In the arena, Hai Jingming announced that Morong Jinghong had won this match. Then the last student of the Southern College, Tu Jiaojiao, entered the arena. Tu Jiaojiao was wearing a fiery red robe today, looking even more alluring and sexy. If Morong Jinghong was the Northern College's Jinghong Fairy, then she would be the Southern College's goddess, the idol of countless men. Therefore, when she walked into the arena, the students of the Southern College immediately became excited and cheered for their goddess. In the arena, the two of them looked at each other and smiled when they saw each other. There was no anger as expected. Morong Jinghong said, "Sister Jiaojiao, we haven't fought before. Let's have a good fight today." Tu Jiaojiao said, "There's no suspense in this kind of match. It's meaningless to fight or not." When the students below the arena heard this, they thought that Tu Jiaojiao was arrogant and thought that she would definitely defeat Morong Jinghong. In fact, only the two people on the arena knew the real meaning. Morong Jinghong said, "The result doesn't matter. What matters is the process. We still have to fight." Tu Jiaojiao made a starting gesture and said, "Okay, let's fight." "Sister Jiaojiao, be careful," Morong Jinghong shouted, then bent his fingers like a sword and stabbed at Tu Jiaojiao's face. She used her fingers as a sword and performed the startling sword technique. Although she didn't use the startling sword, her fingers were still filled with sword qi and cold air. Tu Jiaojiao's fiery red figure gently dodged the sword qi. Then, she also bent her fingers like a sword and stabbed at Morong Jinghong's ribs. Morong Jinghong raised his hand and pointed out. The sword qi of the two collided, and there was an earth-shattering explosion in the arena. This was an even more exciting match. First of all, the two beautiful women were extremely eye-catching. Coupled with their cultivation at the form synthesis stage, their movements were like butterflies flying through flowers. For a moment, it was too much for the audience to take in. Yun Qianqian said to Qin Haodong, Who do you think will win, Sister Jiao Jiao or Sister Morong? Qin Haodong said. It should be Tu Jiao Jiao. Their cultivation is similar, but Tu Jiao Jiao has a deeper understanding of martial arts. In the audience, Ouyang Lan said, Old man, you're going to lose again this time. Luo Dongqing shook her head and said with a smile, It's impossible for us to lose. Although Morong Jinghong is a little weaker than Tu Jiao Jiao, our grandson-in-law hasn't fought yet. Ouyang Lan said, Is he stronger than Morong Jinghong? She had fought with Qin Haodong twice in a row. She knew that Qin Haodong's cultivation was only at the peak of the void training realm. Logically speaking, it was impossible for him to be a match for a cultivator at the form synthesis stage. Luo Dongqing said, That guy can't be judged by common sense at all. You'll know later. In the arena, the two women fought back and forth until they had exchanged more than 200 moves. Suddenly, the figures on the stage disappeared and both of them stopped. At this moment, Morong Jinghong and Tu Jiao Jiao on the stage were like two motionless statues. Morong Jinghong's two fingers were about a foot away from Tu Jiao Jiao's throat. At the same time, Tu Jiao Jiao's two fingers were less than an inch away from Morong Jinghong's heart. This kind of distance also represented the gap in strength. If this was a life-and-death battle, Tu Jiao Jiao could kill Morong Jinghong first. Morong Jinghong withdrew his fingers and said, I lost. Tu Jiao Jiao just smiled slightly and said nothing. Seeing the scene on the stage, the students watching from below the stage suddenly became excited. The students of the South Campus were cheering, while the people of the North Campus were dejected and disappointed. Morong Jinghong had already lost. Were they going to lose for the 6th time in a row? Following Hai Jingming's announcement that Tu Jiao Jiao had won this match, everyone's eyes were focused on the only remaining student of the North Campus, Qin Haodong. Hai Jingming said, Let's invite the last student of the North Campus to the stage to decide who is the king of today. Qin Haodong stood up and walked step by step toward the stage. There was no nervousness on his face. Instead, there was a faint smile on his face. Isn't that the rookie king of our academy this year? He's at most in the void refinement stage. How can he be Tu Jiao Jiao's opponent? It seems that our North Campus is finished this year. That's not necessarily true. Didn't you notice that he's the captain of the North Campus? Logically speaking, his strength should be higher than Fairy Morong. That's impossible. He's just a first-year student. How can he be stronger than Fairy Morong? I heard that he has a good relationship with the little witch, Luo Hongying. He must have used his relationship with Dean Luo to become the captain. Song Junyu looked at the man on the stage. At this moment, she realized that she couldn't see through this person at all. It was as if he was a mystery. Could it be that he was really hiding his strength and had a cultivation that surpassed the form synthesis stage? Wang Zhiliang, who was next to her, was the same. When Qin Haodong was chosen as the captain, he was very unconvinced. But up until now, even Morong Jinghong had been defeated. All the hopes of the North Campus had fallen on this man. They didn't know if he would disappoint them. Seeing Qin Haodong's calm smile, the people of the South Campus also became nervous. Who is this person? He actually came out later than Morong Jinghong. Could it be that his strength is higher? Is he the trump card of the North Campus? What a bullsh asterisk T trump card. I think the North Campus really has no one to use, so they used him to make up the numbers. In fact, he came up to admit defeat. Didn't you see the way he was smiling? It looks like he has no intention of fighting at all. Senior Tu Jiao Jiao is an expert at the form synthesis stage. It won't take her more than 3 moves to deal with this guy. Yu Wanren stood at the side and looked at Qin Haodong on the stage with eyes full of hatred. Unfortunately, he had no chance to avenge his brother. He didn't even have the chance to stand on the stage together with Qin Haodong. On the spectator stand, Luo Dongqing said proudly, My grandson-in-law has made his move. This year's champion will definitely belong to the North Campus. Ouyang Lan said, Are you that confident in him? Luo Dongqing smiled strangely. You'll know the result in a moment. Qin Haodong ignored the discussions around him. He walked to the center of the arena and smiled at Tu Jiao Jiao. Senior, we meet again so soon. Tu Jiao Jiao smiled sweetly. I really don't want to see you. If it weren't for you, today's champion would be me. Qin Haodong said, "Isn't the competition not yet? Perhaps the final winner will be you." "Alright, stop joking. I don't want to be abused. Remember to treat me to a meal later." Tu Jiaojia said loudly to Hai Jingming. "I admit defeat." Chapter 958. Hai Jingming was stunned when he heard the words "I admit defeat." He didn't expect that the opponent he had high hopes for would admit defeat before the match even started. At the same time, the audience was dumbfounded. No one expected that the #1 expert of the South Campus, Tu Jiaojiao, would admit defeat. What was going on? After a brief silence, the audience burst into an uproar. What is she doing? What is Senior Tu Jiaojiao doing? Doesn't she know that she's representing the South Campus? How could she surrender without a fight? That's so embarrassing. That's impossible. Did I hear it wrong? How could Senior Tu Jiaojiao admit defeat? There must be something going on behind the scenes. How could that unknown brat be Senior Sister Tu Jiaojiao's opponent? The students of the South Campus were in an uproar. They could accept defeat, but not Tu Jiaojiao's surrender. The North Campus was also in an uproar. However, unlike the South Campus, they were more excited and happy. Oh my God, did I hear it wrong? The South Campus admitted defeat. Did we finally win the North-South Campus tournament? Happiness came too suddenly. We actually won. And that kid on the stage, he won the title of champion without doing anything. Is there anyone luckier than him? Yeah, it's too easy to be the champion. I can do it too. Luo Dongqing burst into laughter. Old woman, did you see that? This is the power of our grandson-in-law. He subdued the South Campus without using a single move. Ouyang Lan's expression was ugly. She didn't understand why Tu Jiaojiao admitted defeat just like that. However, there was no rule against admitting defeat, so she couldn't say anything. Everyone was puzzled by Tu Jiaojiao's actions. Only Yin Qianqian and a few others knew what was going on, especially Morong Jinghong. When Tu Jiaojiao went up to the stage to fight with her, she had already expressed this intention. However, most people couldn't accept this result. Yu Wanren was the most furious. He couldn't accept that his enemy had taken the champion's crown so easily. Just as Hai Jingming was about to make a decision, he came to the grandstand and shouted to Luo Dongqing and Ouyang Lan. "Deans, I'm not convinced. I can't accept this result." Seeing that someone stood out and publicly questioned, the noisy scene immediately quietened down. Everyone wanted to see how the two deans would deal with this matter. Ouyang Lan said, "It's the right of the contestants to take the initiative to admit defeat. What right do you have to object?" "Dean, you're right. The contestants can indeed take the initiative to admit defeat. However, today's competition is different. Tu Jiaojiao isn't representing herself. Rather, she's representing all of us. Therefore, she doesn't have the right to admit defeat." Yu Wanren said angrily, "I've long heard that Tu Jiaojiao had an affair with Qin Haodong. Now it seems that all the rumors are true. She actually sacrificed the honor of the entire Southern Campus for this man. Think about it. We've had a total of 19 rounds in today's competition. But this kid surnamed Qin hasn't even moved a finger. And he's going to take away the crown of the king. If this is acceptable, then what reason is there to speak of? What justice is there to speak of? I implore the two deans to uphold justice and disqualify Qin Haodong and Tu Jiaojiao from participating in the competition and drive them out of our Black Tortoise Academy. This kind of person is absolutely a disgrace to our academy." His words immediately aroused the anger of the students in the arena. Many people followed and shouted one after another. "Dean, please uphold justice and disqualify them from participating in the competition. We don't accept Tu Jiaojiao admitting defeat. We don't accept the result of the competition. We don't accept that she took away the honor of the king without moving a finger. Shady. Disgraceful. Our academy will never allow this to happen." For a moment, the atmosphere in the arena exploded. Some people were angry because Tu Jiaojiao had admitted defeat, while others were annoyed because their goddess had fallen. Tu Jiaojiao was willing to give away the honor of the king. It was evident how deep her love for this man was. A trace of pride flashed across Yuanren's face. He said to the stage, "See that, Deans? This is what everyone wants. I hope you can uphold justice and be impartial." He was well aware of the relationship between Qin Haodong and Luo Hongying, so he deliberately pointed out the words impartial. Ouyang Lan and Luo Dongqing glanced at each other. Luo Dongqing signaled to Ouyang Lan to deal with this matter. "Everyone please be quiet." As a master of the Desheng stage, although Ouyang Lan's voice was not loud, it was clearly sent to everyone's ears. She had an extremely high prestige in the entire Black Tortoise Academy, so everyone shut their mouths after she spoke. "Rest assured, everyone, I'll definitely give you an explanation to ensure the fairness of the competition," said Ouyang Lan. "But a competition is a competition and rules are rules. In the case of a great disparity in strength, participants are allowed to take the initiative to admit defeat. Therefore, we still have to hear what Tu Jiaojiao has to say before we present the final result." After she said that, everyone looked at the arena and focused their eyes on Tu Jiaojiao. Ouyang Lan spoke again. "Tu Jiaojiao, what's your reason for admitting defeat? Give everyone an explanation. If your explanation is reasonable, the Academy will support your decision. If it's unreasonable, the Academy will consider revoking your right to participate in the competition." Tu Jiaojiao nodded and said, "All right, President. Since everyone needs an explanation, then I'll give it to everyone." Yuanren said, "What else is there to explain? It's obvious that you're using our Academy's honor to please your man." Ouyang Lan frowned and said coldly, "Yuanren, it's Tu Jiaojiao's time to explain now. Don't speak carelessly." Yuanren didn't dare to provoke this extremely tough old lady. Although he was unwilling, he immediately shut his mouth. Tu Jiaojiao said, "Let me first introduce my cultivation. Everyone has seen that I've reached the early stage of the form synthesis realm. To be honest, it's very difficult to make any further progress after reaching the peak of the void refinement realm. I've been stuck in this realm for 3 years, but I still haven't broken through to the form synthesis realm. I'm still at the peak of the void refinement realm, even until I rushed to the 7th order pagoda this time. The reason why I'm able to cross the threshold of the form synthesis realm now is all thanks to the dragon power pill that junior brother Qin Haodong gave me. With this pill, I broke through the bottleneck of the void refinement realm. The dragon power pill, that's a 7th grade pill. One of them can be sold for more than 100,000 supreme grade spirit stones at the auction. Not only is this pill expensive, but its ingredients are also extremely rare. I heard that it needs to be refined with dragon saliva. Ordinary people can't buy it even if they have the money. Qin Haodong casually gave away the dragon power pill. If a man is willing to treat me like this, I'm also willing to be his girlfriend and bear his children. Tu Jiaojiao continued. When junior brother Qin Haodong gave me the pill, he already knew that the competition between the North and South colleges was about to take place. He also knew that I would be representing the South College as his opponent. Under such circumstances, he still gave the pill to me without hesitation. It shows how broad-minded he is. Yuanren could not help but stand up again when he heard this. He said to the rostrum, "Dean, I disagree with Tu Jiaojiao's reason. Even if Qin Haodong helped her raise her cultivation, she still has to be responsible for the entire South College during the competition. She has to fight with her true strength and not admit defeat because of her personal feelings. Moreover, Qin Haodong gave away the dragon power pill not because of his broad-mindedness, but because he coveted someone's beauty." Tu Jiaojiao said angrily, "Yuanren, shut up. Don't measure the heart of a gentleman with your own mean measure, all right?" Yuanren said, "You know what's going on yourself. No matter what, this is not a reason for you to admit defeat." Ouyang Lan said, "Tu Jiaojiao, what you just said is indeed very far-fetched. If you're grateful to Qin Haodong for helping you raise your cultivation, you can give up the competition instead of admitting defeat." "Dean, I'm not done yet," Tu Jiaojiao continued. "The reason why I admitted defeat was entirely because my strength was no match for Qin Haodong. It was completely reasonable for me to admit defeat when there was such a huge difference in strength. Yu Wanren sneered. Tu Jiaojiao, do you think we're all fools? You're already at the early stage of body integration. I don't believe that his cultivation is much higher than yours. Tu Jiaojiao looked at him and said, Do you know the number 1 expert of Black Tortoise Kingdom, Zhongsun Qingqing? Yu Wanren did not understand why Tu Jiaojiao suddenly changed the topic, but he still said, Of course I do. Imperial advisor Zhongsun Qingqing is at the Great Vehicle stage, and is known as the number 1 expert of Xuanwu Kingdom. Tu Jiaojiao said, Qin Haodong killed Zhongsun Qingqing just before we came back. Do you think I should admit defeat in the face of such an expert? Is he worthy of the title of our academy's king? As the Black Tortoise Academy was quite far from the Black Tortoise Royal City, the news of Zhongsun Qingqing's death had yet to reach here. When they heard the news from Tu Jiaojiao herself, the crowd immediately burst into an uproar. What? This young man actually killed Zhongsun Qingqing? How is that possible? To be able to shoot a master of the Desheng stage, is this true or false? No matter what, as long as he can kill a Great Vehicle stage expert, he is definitely worthy of the title of our Black Tortoise Academy's king. This is an honor for all of us. Tu Jiaojiao had immediately turned the current situation around with a single message. In the eyes of the other students, admitting defeat to an expert who could kill a Great Vehicle stage expert was definitely not a shameful thing. Even the students of the Southern Academy felt that Tu Jiaojiao's admission of defeat was a very wise choice, and no longer had any objections. Seeing that the situation was getting out of control, Yu Wanren shouted, Who knows if what you said is true or false? Anyone can brag. At this moment Luo Dongqing, who was in the stands, spoke. I can guarantee in the name of the Vice Dean of the Black Tortoise Academy that what Tu Jiaojiao said is true. I once followed them to the Black Tortoise Royal City, and it was indeed Qin Haodong who killed Zhongsun Qingqing on the spot. Ouyang Lan glared at him and said in a low voice, Why didn't you tell me such an important thing? Luo Dongqing chuckled. I was afraid that you wouldn't agree to the format of this year's Battle of the Kings if you knew. After receiving Luo Dongqing's confirmation, Yu Wanren's face turned pale, and he could no longer say anything. In the face of absolute strength, he had no right to question. The other students in the audience no longer had any objections to Tu Jiaojiao's admission of defeat. Seeing that everyone had calmed down, Hai Jingming walked to the center of the arena and said, I hereby announce that the Northern Academy is the winner of the North-South Academy tournament. Student Qin Haodong is the king of our Black Tortoise Academy. There are 10 of us. Morong Jinghong said, You really are greedy. To be able to obtain 5 spirit springs is completely due to the strength and prestige of the Black Tortoise Institute. The other small institutes can't even obtain 1 spirit spring. This spirit spring comes directly from the underground spirit veins, which is extremely beneficial to the growth of a cultivator's strength. The last time I entered the Black Tortoise Spirit Spring, my strength rose to the great circle of the void tempering stage. However, the amount of spiritual qi in the spiritual spring was also limited. It could only be opened once a year for 24 hours. After that it needed to be rested. Otherwise, there would be no more spiritual spring to use in the future. As for the distribution of members, every time we enter the top 5, 2 of us will be assigned to 1 spirit spring. Qin Haodong nodded. He was very clear about this principle. Is there a rule in the institute about who will be in a group? Morong Jinghong said. Generally speaking, students who have a good relationship with each other form their own groups. If they can't make a good choice, it will be decided by the leading teacher of the institute. Speaking of this, she glanced at Qin Haodong, but in the end, she did not say anything. From the bottom of her heart, she really wanted to cultivate with the man in front of her. But unfortunately, Fang Qiong'er and Yun Qianqian were next to him. Everyone liked Qin Haodong, and this was something that everyone knew. It was not good for her to take the initiative to fight for herself. If the little witch was here, she would definitely be the first to jump out and fight for a spirit spring with Qin Haodong. However, The three girls in front of him were not the kind of people who were bold and unrestrained. Although Yin Qianqian and Fang Qiong'er had the same idea, they did not say it. Although they did not speak, they had reached a tacit understanding in their hearts that the final choice would be in Qin Haodong's hands. However, Qin Haodong did not think about these girls. What he was concerned about now was how much his cultivation could improve through the Black Tortoise Spirit Spring, and when he could return to Earth. After chatting for a while, they returned to the dormitory. Without the little witch's initiative to invite them, the girls were too embarrassed to ask to stay with Qin Haodong, so they returned to their own dormitory. Just as Qin Haodong entered the door, a beautiful figure appeared in front of the dormitory. It was Song Junyu, who had just broken up with him. The results of the competition were far beyond her expectations, and it had completely overturned her previous understanding of Qin Haodong. On the way back, she thought about it carefully and realized that ever since Qin Haodong entered the Black Tortoise Institute, all the students who went against this man did not end up well. This included Xiao Yulong, who was second only to Morong Jinghong, and the arrogant Xuepan, He Kaishan, and the Dong Zhenjiang brothers. Ever since these people chose to go against Qin Haodong, they all ended up in a miserable state. Some died, some were crippled, and some were expelled. Instead, everyone who was on good terms with him had received great benefits. Tu Jiaojiao and Morong Jinghong had broken through to the form synthesis stage, and Yin Qianqian and Fang Qiong'er, who were originally close to her, had also leaped to the peak of void training stage. In contrast, she, who used to be ranked above Yin Qianqian, had become dull. It seems that I have to make some changes and get closer to this man. She was not a stubborn person. After coming to this conclusion, she took the initiative to come to Qin Haodong's dormitory to express her goodwill. When she came to the door, she said to Qin Haodong, "Can I come in?" Of course, Qin Haodong did not have a good impression of this woman, but he did not hate her either. He directly let her into the yard. "Senior Song, what's the matter?" Song Junyu said. "Junior, my attitude towards you today was a little inappropriate. I'm here to apologize to you, and thank you for choosing me to cultivate in the Spirit Spring." "It's nothing." Qin Haodong smiled slightly. "I chose this list completely according to the strength in my heart. Senior, you have the strength to enter the Black Tortoise Spirit Spring, so you don't have to thank me. No matter what, I still want to thank you. If you need my help in the future, just let me know. I'll do my best." Song Junyu fully expressed her goodwill. Qin Haodong said, "I appreciate your kindness, Senior. Let's take care of each other in the future." "Okay, I'll go back first. See you tomorrow." After expressing her intention, Song Junyu did not stay any longer and turned to leave the dormitory. However, before Qin Haodong could return to his room, another figure appeared in front of the door. If Song Junyu's arrival was reasonable, then this person was somewhat unexpected to Qin Haodong. The person was Yu Wanren, who was at loggerheads just a moment ago. At this moment, the previous hatred had disappeared and was replaced by a face full of flattery. "Brother Qin, I'm here to apologize to you." After saying that, Yu Wanren directly pushed open the courtyard door and walked in. He said with a smile, "Brother Qin, it's really my fault today. I'm here to apologize to you." Qin Haodong did not say anything, and just looked at him quietly. Yu Wanren did not show the slightest embarrassment and continued, "Brother Qin, it was actually just a moment of impulse on my part today. I've also learned about my brother's death. He asked for it, and can't blame anyone else. I was also impulsive today, but I was completely subdued by your magnanimity later on. I've treated you like that, yet you're still able to put me on the list of 10. I, your big brother, really admire your magnanimity. I'm here to express my stance. Let bygones be bygones. I won't mention a word about my brother in the future. Please forgive my rashness today. How about it?" Qin Haodong said with a double meaning. "Sure. I've always been a person who doesn't offend me, but I won't be polite to anyone who has bad ideas about me." Yu Wanren patted his chest and said, "Brother Qin, don't worry. You're my friend from now on. I, Yu Wanren, will be the first to disagree with anyone who disrespects you." Qin Haodong said. Is there anything else? Yu Wanren said. It's like this, Brother Qin. There aren't many male students going to the Black Tortoise Spirit Spring this time, so I'd like to share a Spirit Spring with you. What do you think? No problem. Qin Haodong agreed without hesitation. He had just thought of the matter with Morong Jinghong and the other girls. Now that all 3 girls were interested in him, it was indeed not an easy choice to make. Moreover, it was better to squash enmity than to make it worse. As long as Yu Wanren could really let go of that hatred, Qin Haodong would naturally have no objections. It wasn't that he didn't consider what tricks Yu Wanren might play, but he didn't care. He still had many trump cards that he had yet to reveal, so he believed that Yu Wanren wouldn't be able to stir up any waves. After Yu Wanren left Qin Haodong's courtyard, the smile on his face immediately disappeared and was replaced with a gloomy expression. He had taken the initiative to lower his head to Qin Haodong today, so naturally, he wouldn't be as simple as Song Junyu. As a veteran student of the Black Tortoise Institution, this wasn't his first time entering the Black Tortoise Spirit Spring. He was very clear about the situation there. The reason why the Black Tortoise Spirit Spring could improve one's cultivation was because the spiritual energy there was extremely dense and fast absorption speed. However, the amount of spiritual energy was also limited, and it was somewhat difficult for 2 people to use it. Usually, there wouldn't be much left in the end, so they had to rest for a year before they could use it again the next year. He had recently obtained a secret technique called the Great Siphon Technique by chance. This technique could increase the speed at which one could absorb spiritual energy by 10 times, and it was perfectly suited to be used in the Black Tortoise Spirit Spring. The reason why he took the initiative to only use 1 Spirit Spring with Qin Haodong was so that he could quickly absorb all the spiritual energy, leaving Qin Haodong with no spiritual energy to use. After absorbing enough spiritual energy and breaking through his current realm, he would then find an opportunity to kill Qin Haodong. It was precisely because of this goal that he had come over to lower his head and express goodwill. After dinner, Qin Haodong went to visit the little she-devil again. However, she was still in a deep sleep and showed no signs of waking up. It seemed that she was destined to miss this trip to the Black Tortoise Spirit Spring. Early the next morning, Luo Dongqing gathered all the team members together and read out the rules and matters to take note of during the trip to the Black Tortoise Spirit Spring. Then, she allowed everyone to form their own teams of 2. Yu Wanren took the initiative to form a team with Qin Haodong. Seeing this result, Morong Jinghong and the other girls heaved a sigh of relief, finally avoiding the awkward choice. She and Song Junyu formed a team, while Yin Qianqian and Fang Qiong'er formed another team. After all the preparations were completed, Luo Dongqing led the 10 students and flew towards the Black Tortoise Spirit Spring. Chapter 960. The Black Tortoise Spirit Spring was a day's journey from the Black Tortoise Institute and was located in a swamp. The closer Qin Haodong and the others got, the denser the spiritual energy became. In the middle of the swamp was the main spring of the Black Tortoise Spirit Spring, but it was heavily guarded, and no one was allowed to enter. Within a radius of 100 miles from the main spring, there were dozens of spirit springs of various sizes, all occupied by other forces in the kingdom. The 5 spirit springs of the Black Tortoise Institute were relatively close and in a good location. In order to prevent them from being used indiscriminately, the institute would station 10 teachers here every year. Since the Black Tortoise Kingdom had already distributed the nearby spirit springs, there were not many conflicts of interest. Stationing here was only a symbolic gesture, and generally speaking, there were no disputes. Although the teachers stationed here could not enter the spirit spring to cultivate, the spiritual energy here was more than 10 times denser than in other places. Therefore, being stationed here was a good job, and every year, there would be teachers fighting to be on duty here. The closer they got, the denser the spiritual energy became. Most importantly, the spiritual energy here seemed to have a mind of its own, involuntarily drilling into one's pores and absorbing spiritual energy several times faster than using spirit stones. It was Fang Qiong'er's first time here, and she couldn't help but sigh. This place is too comfortable. If I could cultivate here for a long time, my cultivation would definitely advance by leaps and bounds. Tu Jiaojia said, "Don't even think about it. The resources of the spirit spring are limited, and only a few people can enjoy it." Everyone followed behind Luo Dongqing and landed beside the 5 spirit springs. Seeing Luo Dongqing personally arrive, the teachers stationed here immediately surrounded her, asking about her well-being and then arranging cultivation matters. The distance between the 5 spirit springs was not too far, only about a few dozen meters. Qin Haodong and Yu Wanren were assigned to the most central position, while the other students went to the 4 spirit springs next to them. The water of the spirit spring looked extremely clear, but it was not ordinary water, but spiritual energy droplets condensed from overly dense spiritual energy. The 5 spirit springs were about the same size, about 10 meters in diameter. Qin Haodong stepped into the spring and was instantly surrounded by dense spiritual energy. Compared to the spiritual energy emitted by top-grade spirit stones, the spiritual energy here seemed to be alive and could actively cooperate with one's cultivation, constantly drilling into one's pores and improving one's physique. He sighed in his heart. This was indeed a good place for cultivation, and it seemed that he would most likely be able to break through to the early body integration stage. Yu Wanren sat opposite Qin Haodong, a trace of complacency and cunning flashing in his eyes. Luo Dongqing said, "Everyone pay attention. The absorption time is only 12 hours. After that, we will leave this place. Everyone, cherish the opportunity and make the best use of your time to cultivate." Yu Wanren said guiltily, "Brother Qin, you have to hurry up. My absorption speed is very fast, so you might not be able to get a single strand of spirit qi." Qin Haodong smiled and said, "It doesn't matter. I'm quite fast." Yu Wanren said, "Then let's have a competition. Don't cry if you can't get any spirit qi." Qin Haodong immediately understood why this guy wanted to share a spirit spring with him. He smiled and said, "Sure." Without another word, Yu Wanren closed his eyes and began to circulate the great siphon technique. In a split second, the spiritual energy in the spiritual spring surged into his body at an accelerated rate, as if it was under a tremendous gravitational force. "You do have some skills, but you're still far from being able to compete with me." Qin Haodong smiled and began to circulate the evergreen wood technique to absorb the spirit qi here. According to his cultivation theory, he was like an empty wooden barrel, and he only needed to constantly pour water into it during cultivation. Yu Wanren and the others were different. Even if they used the great siphon technique, they still had to consider the capacity of the barrel. Ordinary people would absorb while raising the height of the barrel, but if they absorbed too quickly, the barrel would explode. Under such circumstances, Qin Haodong's absorption speed was simply indescribable. If Yu Wanren's side was like a small range hood that constantly drew spirit qi into his body, then Qin Haodong's side was like a high-powered water pump that frantically drew spirit qi into his barrel. Yu Wanren felt proud while absorbing the spirit qi. At this rate, he would probably be able to absorb all the spirit qi in the spiritual spring in less than half a day, and Qin Haodong wouldn't even be able to get 1/10 of it. He even imagined Qin Haodong's look of annoyance. However, he suddenly realized that he could not absorb any spirit qi even after circulating the great siphon technique to the extreme. What's going on? Could it be that the spirit qi has been absorbed right from the start? That's impossible. I've been here before, and the spirit qi contained in the spiritual spring is enough for me to absorb for a period of time. He opened his eyes, only to see a strange scene. The spirit qi in the entire spiritual spring was flowing into Qin Haodong's body, like rivers flowing into the sea. No wonder he could not get even a trace of spirit qi here. The suction force on Qin Haodong's side was too strong. If all the spirit qi had been absorbed, how could he possibly absorb it? What kind of cultivation technique is this? Yu Wanren was about to explode from anger. However, Qin Haodong was absorbing him with his own ability. Previously he was talking about competing in speed, so what could he say now? He could only sit down again and circulate his great siphon technique with all his might. However, he still could not get much spirit qi. This cultivation speed could not even be compared to that in the Black Tortoise Academy. Compared to Qin Haodong's astonishing speed, it was as if he was drinking water with a straw, while Qin Haodong was pumping water with a high-powered water pump. The difference was hundreds of times. Yuanren opened his eyes again. After seeing the spirit qi being absorbed into his body like rivers flowing into the sea, Qin Haodong's aura grew stronger and stronger. He was about to complete his breakthrough. This kid actually wants to make a breakthrough here. An ominous glint flashed across his eyes. It seemed like this was a good time for revenge. With a thought, a dagger appeared in his palm. Just as he was about to make his move, a figure suddenly flashed. Luo Dongqing had arrived beside the spiritual spring. It was impossible for Qin Haodong to not attract his attention after causing such a huge commotion. Not only had Luo Dongqing come over, but even the teachers and other cultivating students who were guarding the place had gathered over. With so many people around, Yuanren would not foolishly make a move. He put the dagger in his hand back into his storage ring and put on an equally shocked expression. A teacher who was stationed beside the spiritual spring said to Luo Dongqing, "Dean, is this a student of our academy? He's simply a monster. I've never seen anyone who can absorb spirit qi so quickly." Luo Dongqing was also quite surprised. He sighed and said, "You're right. This kid is a monster." Seeing that Qin Haodong's aura was getting stronger and stronger, Morong Jinghong said, "Dean, is he about to make a breakthrough?" Luo Dongqing said, "It looks like it's going to happen soon." "Oh no, Dean. Look, the spiritual spring is about to run dry." Everyone's attention had been focused on Qin Haodong and neglected the water in the spiritual spring. Only now did they realize that the water, which was originally more than a meter deep, was now only as deep as a palm, and the spirit qi was extremely thin. Qin Haodong crazily absorbed the spirit qi in the spiritual spring in just a short while, and there was not the slightest bit of spirit qi left in the spiritual spring. Yuanren's face was livid. At this moment he felt like crying. If he had known that he would encounter such a freak, he would never have shared a spiritual spring with him. Now, not only did he not take advantage of it, but he had also wasted this rare opportunity. Qin Haodong was about to make a breakthrough, but he suddenly felt the surrounding spirit qi drop rapidly. In the end, he still did not cross the threshold of the form synthesis stage. He opened his eyes and first saw the dried spiritual spring, and then he saw the dumbfounded people around him. He slowly realized what had happened. Fang Qiong'er asked, "Senior brother, have you made a breakthrough?" Qin Haodong said a little awkwardly, "Not yet. I've used up the spirit qi in the spiritual spring. I'm only a little bit away." Yun Qianqian said, "Use ours. Sister Qiong'er and I have just made a breakthrough anyway. It will be difficult for us to make another breakthrough, even if we absorb more spirit qi." Qin Haodong said with some embarrassment, "No way." Fang Qiong'er pulled him over and said, "Why not? This is a rare opportunity. Let's hurry up and go." As she spoke, she and Yun Qianqian pulled Qin Haodong into their spiritual spring, one on the left and the other on the right. The two of them were full of gratitude towards Qin Haodong. If it were not for Qin Haodong's help, they would not have reached the peak of the void training stage, even if they used the spiritual spring here. More importantly, they were not only grateful, but also willing to make some sacrifices for the man in front of them. Qin Haodong no longer stood on ceremony. He sat cross-legged in the spiritual spring and began to absorb spirit qi to make a breakthrough. In an instant, he was like a motor that had been restarted, and the spirit qi in the spiritual spring rushed into his body again. With the assurance of sufficient spiritual qi, his momentum became stronger and stronger. About 15 minutes later, a crisp sound suddenly came from his body, and he broke through the bottleneck of the form synthesis stage. When he opened his eyes again, half of the spiritual qi in the spirit spring had been extracted, and his cultivation base had officially entered the body integration stage. He walked out of the spirit spring and said to Fang Qiong'er and Fang Qiong'er, "Thank you." Fang Qiong'er said, "This is nothing. If you need more, you can absorb the rest." Qin Haodong shook his head. I don't need it. You guys can use it. His cultivation was growing in a completely nature-defying manner. The further he progressed, the more spiritual energy he needed. Now, even if he completely absorbed the remaining 3.5 spirit springs, he most likely would not be able to break through again. It was better to leave it for the two girls. Then, he turned to look at Yu Wanren and said with a teasing expression, I'm sorry. I absorbed your spiritual energy too quickly. They're all gone. Yu Wanren felt that his lungs were about to explode from anger, but he could not say anything. Looking at his extremely ugly expression, Qin Haodong smiled again and said, We have a deal. You can't cry if you lose. Yu Wanren snorted coldly and turned his head away. He had no more spirit qi to use at the moment, so he could only find a rock to sit on. Luo Dongqing said to the other students, Don't be affected, everyone. Make the best use of your time to cultivate. The other students had seen enough. Envious of Qin Haodong's cultivation base, they all returned to their own spirit springs to absorb the spirit qi. But at this moment, a ghostly wail was heard. There's no need to cultivate anymore. You're all going to die, so why waste spirit qi? Luo Dongqing's expression changed. He turned his head and saw a man in black with a golden mask standing behind him, followed by dozens of ghost slaves in black. They were from the Ghost King sect, and their cultivation base was not low. The golden-masked man in the lead had even reached the great vehicle stage, which made him nervous immediately. Chapter 961. Luo Dongqing's eyes fell on a golden skull on the sleeve of the golden-masked man. Then she asked, I didn't expect you to be the great elder of the Ghost King sect. What are you doing in my Black Tortoise Kingdom? Under the golden mask, there was a burst of laughter. Do you still need to ask? Of course, to send you guys to hell. Luo Dongqing's face suddenly changed. Although you are the great elder of the Ghost King sect, our Black Tortoise Academy is not easy to bully. If you really annoy the dean of our academy, then he will destroy your Ghost King sect. Hearing this, Qin Haodong was confused. Since he came to the Black Tortoise Academy, Ouyang Lan was in charge of the South Academy, and Luo Dongqing was in charge of the North Academy. However, both of them were the vice deans of the Black Tortoise Academy. Do you mean the old ghost Tong Haichuan? He hasn't shown up for 10 years. Maybe the grass on his grave has grown high. How dare you use him to scare me? It's ridiculous. The great elder of the Ghost King sect continued. To be honest, we didn't want to provoke your Black Tortoise Academy. But look at what your academy has done recently. That boy surnamed Qin first killed our 12 ghost slaves. Then he killed Lord Ghost King's ghost concubine Zhong Xiaodai, and killed our Ghost King sect's 9th elder in Pegasus City. He has caused such a big loss to our Ghost King sect. Shouldn't we settle the score with you? Luo Dongqing said. Your Ghost King sect asked for it. They attacked our students first. He now knew the bitterness in his heart. The Ghost King sect and the Black Tortoise Academy were originally enemies. But recently the most powerful dean, Tong Haichuan, disappeared. The current situation was that the strength of the two sides was not too different. Once a fight broke out, his students would inevitably suffer heavy losses, so he tried to avoid a head-on conflict as much as possible. It's ridiculous to reason with the people of the Ghost King sect. Only the Ghost King sect can kill people, but no one can hurt the people of the Ghost King sect. The great elder said rudely, If you don't want to lose too many people, then give me that kid Qin directly, and today's matter will be over. Luo Dongqing said angrily, In your dreams, do you really think our Black Tortoise Academy is afraid of you? Aren't you afraid? The Ghost King sect great elder once again laughed. If Tong Haichuan was here, your Black Tortoise Academy would still have some confidence. But unfortunately he is missing now. Just based on you, this henpecked fellow, what qualifications do you have to go against our Ghost King sect? So I advise you to hand Qin Haodong over to me, or all of you will die. At this time, a teacher next to him said, Dean, let's fight with them. Luo Dongqing shouted, Our Black Tortoise Academy has been established for 1,000 years. There has never been a precedent of handing over our students. If you want to fight, then fight. Even if our Black Tortoise Academy bleeds to the last drop of blood, we will not yield to your Ghost King sect. Qin Haodong couldn't help but feel excited when he saw the old man, who was usually a little unruly, but still had a backbone at the critical moment. The other students also shared the same hatred, and their eyes were shining with a burning light. Old man Luo, since you're acting tough in front of me, then go to hell. After the Ghost King sect great elder finished speaking, he waved his hand to the ghost slaves behind him and said, "Do it, leave no one alive." After that, the black chi suddenly rose, like a devil from hell, and stretched out a black ghost claw to grab Luo Dongqing. The ghost claw with the ghost chi had turned into a huge ghost claw when it came to Luo Dongqing, as if it could pinch people to death with 2 fingers. Nether ghost claw. Qin Haodong had seen Zhong Xiaodai use this move, but the power was far less than that of the Ghost King sect great elder. "Get out of here!" Luo Dongqing shouted angrily, raised his hand and punched. As a master of Deshang stage, his punch seemed ordinary, but it carried boundless power. As soon as he punched, the wind swept into a huge dragon and fiercely rushed to the Nether Ghost Claw. The huge dragon collided with the Nether Ghost Claw, and after a loud bang, it turned into a boundless chi, causing the surrounding people to retreat one after another. Luo Dongqing blocked the move of the Ghost King sect great elder, but involuntarily took 2 steps back. Obviously, he had just entered the Deshang stage, and his cultivation was a little weaker than his opponent. The Ghost King sect great elder's eyes flashed with a touch of surprise. "I didn't expect you to break through to the Deshang stage, old man. It seems that you're not completely a coward who is afraid of his wife. Stop talking nonsense, watch my fist." Luo Dongqing said and punched again. He knew that he had to entangle the guy in front of him, and he couldn't let him attack his students, otherwise it would be a disaster. The 2 masters of Deshang stage were fighting here, and the others were also fighting on the side. On the side of Black Tortoise School, the 10 teachers stationed here had reached the form synthesis stage, plus Qin Haodong, Tu Jiaojiao, Morong Jinghong, and Yuan Jian. There were a total of 14 masters of the form synthesis stage. But this time the Ghost King sect sent out high-level ghost slaves, half of which had reached the form synthesis stage, so the strength of the 2 sides was equal. For a time, they were evenly matched and in a stalemate. Qin Haodong knew that it was not the time to be polite. He called out the Xian Yuan sword and slashed at a ghost slave in front of him. This ghost slave was at the early stage of form synthesis, the same cultivation as Qin Haodong. He waved the ghost blade in his hand to meet Qin Haodong. Qin Haodong's cultivation was originally invincible at the same level, plus the sharpness of the Xian Yuan sword. This ghost slave couldn't resist at all. As soon as he attacked, he was cut in half with the blade. As soon as he killed this opponent, a whistling sound came, and a sharp ghost blade slashed at his neck. It was a silver-masked man at the middle stage of form synthesis. He dodged the blade in a flash, but at this time, another ghost slave wearing a silver mask came from behind and attacked him together with the man in front of him. Qin Haodong had an absolute advantage when facing an early stage of form synthesis, and he could barely cope with a middle stage of form synthesis. But if he faced 2 middle stage experts at the same time, it would be a little difficult. At this time, a scream came from the side. Morong Jinghong's arm was cut by a ghost slave's ghost blade, and a line of blood was cut. Although she was also at the early stage of form synthesis, compared with Qin Haodong's strength, she was much weaker. Seeing that the situation was critical, Qin Haodong no longer cared too much. He raised his hand and put a big yuan explosion pill into his mouth, and instantly broke through to the peak of form synthesis. As his cultivation improved, the power of the yuan explosion pill became less and less, and it couldn't break through the bottleneck of the great vehicle stage. But this was enough. After his cultivation reached the peak of form synthesis, Qin Haodong instantly turned into a killing god. With a flash of golden light in his hand, the 2 middle stage ghost slaves in front of him were instantly cut into 4 pieces. Morong Jinghong was facing an expert at the middle stage of form synthesis. Under the suppression of their cultivation, she kept retreating, and her body was cut by the ghost blade again. However, She was completely suppressed by her opponent, and a slight distraction would cost her her life. She didn't even have time to eat the yuan explosion pill. At this time, the ghost slave's ghost blade slashed at her head again. Morong Jinghong hurriedly waved her startling sword to meet it. But she didn't expect that it was just a feint. The ghost slave knew the power of the startling sword. After a feint, the ghost blade instantly changed direction and slashed at her chest. Ah! Morong Jinghong let out a scream. She was already flustered, and it was too late for her to withdraw her sword to defend. Just as she was about to die, a golden light flashed at the critical moment. Then with a clatter, the ghost dragon's arm and the ghost blade fell to the ground. After killing the ghost slave, Qin Haodong came to Morong Jinghong and asked, "How are you? Are you okay?" Morong Jinghong had just passed by the gate of death, and she still had some lingering fear at this moment. She patted her chest and said, "Thank you, I'm fine. The situation is critical. Take the yuan explosion pill quickly." After saying that, Qin Haodong waved his sword and rushed to Fang Qiong'er. Without hesitation, Morong Jinghong raised her hand and put the yuan explosion pill into her mouth. Her cultivation instantly increased to the peak of form synthesis. Then, she waved her startling sword and stabbed at another ghost slave next to her. Then, the girls took the yuan explosion pill one after another, and their cultivation increased to the peak of form synthesis. The strength of both sides began to change greatly. Under the leadership of Qin Haodong, the people of Black Tortoise Academy began to kill the ghost slaves, as if they were cutting melons and vegetables. After a while, more than a dozen ghost slaves were killed. The 10 teachers stationed here were dumbfounded. Since when did their academy's students become so heaven-defying? The situation on their side was reversed, but Luo Dongqing's situation was not optimistic. Although he was also at the Deshang stage, his cultivation was still a little bit lower than that of the first elder of Ghost King sect. He was always in a state of suppression, and could only barely entangle the opponent. Seeing that his subordinates were getting fewer and fewer, and died in the hands of the students of Black Tortoise Academy, a cold light flashed in the first elder's eyes. He hit his palms continuously, and dozens of huge ghost claws surrounded Luo Dongqing. Luo Dongqing ran all the strength in her body and punched out, barely resolving this wave of attacks, and finally collided with the first elder's palms with a bang. In the past, when they fought head-on, the first elder was always at a disadvantage, but this time it was completely different. The first elder of Ghost King sect was shocked by this punch and flew backward. What's going on? Before Luo Dongqing could figure out the situation, the first elder of Ghost King sect had come to Qin Haodong's side with the force of the counterforce, and reached out to grab Qin Haodong's neck. Qin Haodong was shocked. He did not expect that the first elder of Ghost King sect would suddenly come to his side. This was the first time that he faced a master at the Deshang stage. Before he could make a move, his body was suppressed by the opponent's momentum, and there was no possibility to dodge. In desperation, he could only desperately urge the Greenwood Genuine Qi, and wanted to fight head-on with the opponent, and win the opportunity for Luo Dongqing to rescue him. Unexpectedly at this moment, there was a sense of weakness in his body, and the effect of the big yuan burst pill was over. What the hell? It's over. Seeing that the palm of the first elder of Ghost King sect was getting closer and closer, Qin Haodong had no ability to resist. "Let go of me!" Luo Dongqing, who came back to her senses, roared and rushed to rescue Qin Haodong, but it was too late. Fortunately, the first elder of Ghost King sect did not kill Qin Haodong. He just knocked Qin Haodong out with one finger, and then grabbed his belt and galloped away. As soon as he left, the rest of the ghost slaves did not continue to fight, and disappeared in an instant. Chapter 962. Stop right there. Seeing Qin Haodong being taken away, Luo Dongqing was furious and chased after the Ghost King sect's grand elder. "Old Luo, how dare you come after me? Aren't you afraid that my people will come back and kill all your students? Well, Luo Dongqing hesitated despite knowing that the other party was threatening him. There were still 10 teachers and 9 students at the Black Tortoise Spiritual Spring. Morong Jinghong and the others had just taken the Grand Yuan elixir and were in a weak state. If the Ghost King sect came back, it would be a big problem. Masters at the Mahayana stage were extremely fast. While he was hesitating, the Ghost King sect's Grand Elder had already disappeared with Qin Haodong. Luo Dongqing had no choice but to return to the Black Tortoise Spiritual Spring. Seeing him return alone, Morong Jinghong asked anxiously, "Headmaster, where is Qin Haodong?" Luo Dongqing said with a chagrined expression, "He was taken away." Fang Qiong'er said anxiously, "Headmaster, we must find a way to save him. He has such a deep grudge against the Ghost King sect. That person will definitely kill him." Yin Qianqian said anxiously, "I'll go save him now." Then she wanted to fly up, but her legs gave way, and she fell to the ground. She had just taken the Grand Yuan elixir, and did not even have the strength to fly. The others were also anxious when they heard the news, especially the women who were on good terms with Qin Haodong. Only Yuanren's eyes flashed with a hint of schadenfreude. He could not wait for the Ghost King sect to kill this monster and avenge his brothers. In contrast, Tu Jiaojia was calmer. She said, "Don't worry, everyone. I guess the Ghost King sect doesn't want to kill Qin Haodong. If they wanted to, they would have done it directly. There's no need to take him back." Hearing her words, the others slowly calmed down. Indeed, with the Ghost King sect's Grand Elder's strength, he could have killed Qin Haodong with a slap. There was no need to take him back. Fang Qiong'er said, "But why did he take senior brother?" Tu Jiaojia said, "I'm not sure, but I'm sure that his life will not be in danger for the time being." Luo Dongqing said, "Don't worry, everyone. Take the time to cultivate. Only when you have enough strength can you save people. I will immediately send a message back to the Black Tortoise Institute and let the Institute contact the Black Tortoise Kingdom to search for traces of the Ghost King sect. Once we find out where they are hiding, we will immediately rescue them." He said these words mainly to comfort the students present. With his understanding of the Ghost King sect, these people's movements were extremely secretive. To find traces of them was even more difficult than ascending to heaven. But now that things had come to this, he could only use this method that wasn't really a solution. Qin Haodong slowly opened his eyes. He didn't know how long he had been in a coma. However, the Jinqi in his body had already completely recovered, and the period of weakness caused by using the Great Yuan Burst pill had already passed. From the looks of it, it must have been quite some time. After looking around, he discovered that this was a bamboo house, and it was built on top of a mountain. Looking out through the window, the sun was bright and beautiful, and the clouds and mist lingered around. This was a beautiful place. It was a pity that he wasn't familiar with Black Tortoise Kingdom and had no idea where he was. Beside him, the Ghost King sect Great Elder was still wearing the golden mask, his hands behind his back, as if admiring the scenery outside the window. Qin Haodong moved his somewhat stiff limbs and found that the Jinqi in his body was abundant, without any restrictions. It seemed that the person in front of him had enough confidence to control him, so he didn't bother to seal his acupoints. "Kid, don't have any messy thoughts, or else I'll crush you to death as easily as crushing an ant." While speaking, the Great Elder of the Ghost King sect slowly turned his head. The pair of eyes under the mask revealed a cold, murderous intent. Qin Haodong wasn't nervous about this. If this person wanted to kill him, he would have done it long ago. There was no need to wait until now. Since he didn't kill him, the other party must have some ulterior motives, and before he achieved his goal, he wouldn't do anything to him. He stretched his back, and a faint fragrance entered his nostrils. He sniffed and looked at the figure under the black robe. "I really didn't expect that the Great Elder of the Ghost King sect is actually a woman." Seeing that the other party didn't take him seriously at all, the Great Elder said angrily, "Kid, do you believe that I won't kill you right now?" Qin Haodong said with a smile, "I really don't believe that. If you wanted to kill me, you would have done it long ago. There is no need to go through so much trouble to get me here. If I'm not wrong, you must have other ideas. Tell me, do you want to rob me of money or sex? If you want to rob me of money, I am a poor man. If you want to rape me, take off your mask and let me see what you look like. If you are too ugly, I won't consider it. Kid, you are provoking me. The great elder's momentum suddenly erupted, and his sharp eyes looked at Qin Haodong like a knife. Unfortunately, after a long time, the young man's eyes were still calm and firm, without any intention of compromise. Slowly, the great elder withdrew his momentum and said, Kid, I didn't see that you have some courage. Qin Haodong smiled. If I am too timid, how can I negotiate with you later? He knew that the great elder had a purpose to catch him. If he behaved too timidly, he would be tightly controlled by the great elder, and there would be no chance of escape. Not bad. No wonder old 9 and the others died at your hands. At this moment, the great elder's voice was no longer hoarse, instead becoming incomparably charming. Perhaps this was her original voice. Qin Haodong said, Your voice is also good, but I don't know if it's because you're too ugly. You always cover your face with a mask. Kid, don't forget your current status. Don't challenge my bottom line. Qin Haodong spread his hands and said, Well, it has nothing to do with me whether you're beautiful or ugly. Tell me, what do you want me to do after you've tried so hard to catch me? The first elder said, As long as you agree to 2 conditions of our Ghost King sect, not only can we let you go, but we can also give you a large sum of wealth, money and beauties. You can choose whatever you want. Qin Haodong smiled and said, Can I choose you? Brat, I'm warning you one last time. If you challenge my bottom line again, even if I don't kill you, I'll cut off a part of your body, cripple your cultivation, and send you to the palace to become a eunuch. After that, the first elder's eyes were fixed on Qin Haodong, like he glanced at her. Qin Haodong was immediately pinched. He quickly said, It's just a joke. Since you don't like it, we won't do it. Let's get down to business. Now let's get down to business. Tell me your 2 conditions. The first elder said, First, hand over the method you used to quickly improve your cultivation. Qin Haodong said, I think you've made a mistake. Cultivation has never been done overnight. How can I have a quick way? Brat, you still won't tell the truth at this time? The first elder said, We've specially investigated your information during this period. When you first entered the Black Tortoise Academy, your cultivation was only at the late stage of soul transformation. Then you jumped a stage in a few days. Now it's only been more than a month, and you've already reached the early stage of body integration. Do you know how long it takes for ordinary people to cultivate from the late stage of soul transformation to the early stage of body integration? It takes at least more than 10 years. Even with abundant cultivation resources, it takes at least a few years. But you only used more than a month. Now you're telling me that there's no quick method. Do you think I can believe it? Well, Qin Haodong didn't know how to answer for a moment. No wonder the Ghost King sect had been quiet recently. It turned out that they had been investigating him. He said, In this case, I'll tell you the truth. My cultivation method is only suitable for me, and it's a secret method of my sect. You can't learn it. Maybe you'll be possessed by the devil and lose your cultivation. The first elder thought for a moment and said, Let's put this aside for now. Now let's talk about the second condition. I heard that you're a good alchemist. You can even refine 7th grade elixirs. As long as you give us 100 dragon power elixirs and 1,000 void breaking elixirs, we can also set you free. You want so many elixirs? Why don't you rob them? Of course, Qin Haodong wouldn't agree to her condition. Now the Ghost King sect was strong enough. The first elder had reached the Deshang stage. He didn't know how many masters there were behind him. If he gave them so many elixirs, the Ghost King sect's strength would be further strengthened. At that time, it would be a disaster for the whole Lingwu continent. Isn't this robbery? The first elder looked at him with burning eyes and said, What do you think? Do you think there's anything between us? If you're sure there's nothing to talk about, I'll kill you now. Talk? Of course we can talk. Qin Haodong still wanted to return to Earth to see his wife. No matter if the other party wanted to kill him or cut off a certain part of his body, it was not what he wanted after all. Well, since you want to talk, show some sincerity. Do you want to hand over the cultivation method or refine elixirs for us? I'm not in a hurry. Can you let me go to the toilet first? Qin Haodong covered his legs with his hands. Then he pretended to be in a hurry and said, I haven't gone to the toilet for a long time, and I soaked in the spiritual spring for so long. We can talk about the conditions, but can you let me go first? Yes. She grabbed Qin Haodong's collar and took him outside the bamboo building in an instant. She pointed to a mountain rock and said, Let's solve it here. Here. How can I do that? I'm a civilized person. Don't you have a toilet or something like that here? The first elder said in a cold voice, This is a mountainous area. There's not even a person here. Why are you looking for a toilet? But this is not very good, Qin Haodong said. Suddenly, he said with a playful face, Do you usually solve it here in public? The first elder was wearing a mask, so her face could not be seen, but there was a flash of anger in her eyes. Are you going to solve it or not? Of course, I have to solve it. People have 3 urgent needs. This kind of thing can't wait. Qin Haodong untied his belt and said, Elder sister, can you turn around? I can't pee in front of a woman. Boy, don't try to play tricks with me, or I'll destroy you. The first elder turned around after saying that. After all, she was not used to watching a man pee. Moreover, she had enough confidence in her heart. Although she turned around, her breath had been locked on Qin Haodong. In front of her, no matter what, this man could not escape. Shortly after she turned around, there was a sound of water behind her. She naturally knew what the sound meant, and involuntarily took 2 steps forward. Suddenly, she found that Qin Haodong had disappeared from her breath. The first elder could no longer care about it. She suddenly turned around, only to find that there was no one in the place where Qin Haodong had just stood, except for a pool of water. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.